Chapter 75. Ever since Yang Wu reached the high-level warrior realm, he felt he could fight on par with a general realm cultivator, so he was rather confident. He had always thought that as long as he was on the battlefield, he could easily kill the barbarians and gain merits. But after this battle, his mind was completely clear. Although he was quite strong, none of the barbarians on the battlefield were mediocre. Yang Wu had spent a lot of effort to kill the barbarian in front of him. If it weren't for Li Dazue killing the other barbarians by his side, he, Shou-Ho, and Su Xiaoqiang wouldn't have been able to put up much of a fight. Right now, Yang Wu was seriously injured. Even his recovery strength wasn't enough to heal his injuries. If he was given half a day, it wouldn't be difficult for him to recover from his injuries. But Li Dazue gritted his teeth and said, "Let's go. If we don't, we'll become meat in their mouths." Shou-Ho and Su Xiaoqiang heaved a sigh of relief. They were really afraid that Li Dazue would continue leading them to kill the enemy. If Shou-Ho and Su Xiaoqiang were as strong as Yang Wu, Li Dazue wouldn't mind continuing to kill their way in. Unfortunately, he couldn't do that now. Shou-Ho ran over to help Yang Wu up. Yang Wu didn't refuse. After he stood up, he grabbed the barbarian's huge saber. This was a rare weapon. "It's a pity I'm not good with sabers." Yang Wu sighed for no reason. Then he looked at Shou-Ho and asked, "Do you want it?" Shou-Ho shook his head and said, "I'd prefer to use a staff." Yang Wu looked at Su Xiaoqiang and said, "Take this saber." Su Xiaoqiang didn't stand on ceremony. He took the huge saber and said with a smile, "This saber is quite heavy, but I like it. Thanks." After Li Dazue put away their weapons, he went on to behead the barbarians. Then he said to Yang Wu, "Kid, take that head back with you. Otherwise, no one will give you credit for it." Li Dazue loved to eat people, but he was not stupid. This was what Yang Wu and the other two thought at the same time. Su Xiaoqiang nimbly chopped off the barbarian's head and took the initiative to carry it for Yang Wu. At this moment, his stomach was no longer churning. "Next time, I'll definitely slaughter those barbarians with my own hands." Su Xiaoqiang and Shou-Ho both had such a strong thought in their hearts. Big Mouth Li led the way in front with a slight smile on his face. Clearly, he was very satisfied with the meat out this time. Soon, their group returned to the perimeter of the military camp. Li Dazue spoke again. "I forgot to tell why all that you'll have to get your own meat to eat. Our Death Legion doesn't provide any food for you." At this moment, Yang Wu, Shou-Ho, and Su Xiaoqiang all had the urge to faint. It wasn't easy for them to fight a great battle, but they weren't even provided with anything to eat. "Are you trying to starve us to death?" Su Xiaoqiang complained. "That's right. There's no shortage of hungry soldiers on the battlefield. How are we going to have the strength to fight the barbarians like this?" Shou-Ho also said unhappily, "Why don't I share some of the meat with Wyall?" Li Dazue replied with a sincere expression. In an instant, Su Xiaoqiang and Shou-Ho felt terrible. Yang Wu asked from the side, "Sir, since we're your subordinates, you should tell us about the rules of the Death Legion. Is that all right?" "The rules of the Death Legion are that there are no rules," Li Dazue replied as he rolled his eyes. Yang Wu thought for a moment and said, "Does this mean that we'll have to rely on ourselves to survive and perish on our own?" "Kid, you're pretty quick-witted. That's more or less what I mean," Li Dazue replied. Then he added, "As long as we don't betray Great Xia and kill more barbarians, we can do whatever we want. Then how are we going to record our military merits?" Yang Wu asked again. "Take it and get the adjutant to record it," Li Dazue replied. "Okay, I understand." Yang Wu nodded. "Then I'll say a few more words. There are some lousy weapons in the pit over there. You can go and pick them yourself. There are also a few combat skills on the stone tablets over there. You can comprehend them yourself. Our Death Legion will be the vanguard during the war. If there's no major battle, we'll go and hunt in the mountain range. Or we'll kill the enemy's scouts as soon as possible. Of course, we can also go and kill the barbarian army if we don't get any meritorious service in a month. In short, it's a game of life and death. Either way, we're going to kill them." After Li Dazue spoke to Yang Wu in a serious manner, he took the head in his hand and went to hand in his task. At this moment, Yang Wu, Shou-Ho, and Su Xiaoqiang all understood the significance of the Death Legion's existence. There weren't too many rules in the Death Legion. They could do whatever they wanted without too many restrictions. However, if they didn't have any military merits within a month, they would be punished according to military law. This was the cruelty of being in the Death Legion. Of course, there were many situations that Li Dazue didn't explain clearly. For example, whoever killed 100 barbarians at the soldier level first would not only be able to get rid of their slave status, but they would also be promoted to squad leader. If they killed 200 barbarians, they would be promoted to squad leader. If they killed 300 barbarians, they would be promoted to squad leader. These military merits could even be used to exchange for elixirs or secret techniques. Big brother, what should we do? Shou Ho asked Yang Wu. What can we do? Let's starve first. I'll think of a way later, Yang Wu replied. Then he took the head that Su Xiaoqiang handed over to him and took it to the tent to record his military merits. When he arrived at the tent, the cold-faced adjutant was still sitting there. When he saw Yang Wu come in, an imperceptible glint flashed across his eyes. Adjutant, I'm here to record my military merits, Yang Wu said as he held the head. However, before he could finish speaking, the adjutant said sternly, Who told you that this is the place to record your military merits? Get out of here. Yang Wu was instantly dumbfounded. He had been tricked by Li Dazue. Yang Wu will take his leave. Yang Wu knew that he was in the wrong. So he quickly responded and was about to get out of the tent. Before he could take a few steps back, the cold-faced adjutant spoke again. Since you're already here, just put it down. I'll record your military merits personally. Yang Wu was instantly stunned. He cursed in his heart. Are you playing with me? I should be the one to record the general-level head. The cold-faced adjutant said coldly as he glanced at the head in Yang Wu's hand. He then asked, serial number or name? Yang Wu quickly said, 9,999, Yang Wu. 9,999. Yang Wu has received 200 merits. The cold-faced adjutant announced. Thank you, sir. Yang Wu responded and left the tent with the head. After he left, he didn't hear the cold-faced adjutant mutter. He received 200 merits on his first day as a prison slave soldier. That was 20 years ago, wasn't it? 20 years ago, the great Xia dynasty's king of death had just risen to power. After Yang Wu left the tent, he brought Shou Ho and Su Xiaoqiang to an open space and sat down. He said to Shou Ho and Su Xiaoqiang, Which one of you is responsible for investigating the Death Legion? We can't just listen to Li Dazue. That guy is very unreliable. Only by understanding the Death Legion situation will we have a better chance of survival. Big brother, let me do this. Shou Ho immediately said. Su Xiaoqiang said from the side, You can't do it. I'll go. With my silver tongue, I'll definitely be able to get the first-hand information. Shou Ho was instantly annoyed. However, Yang Wu didn't wait for him to speak and said, You guys should split up. The Death Legion's people aren't easy to deal with, but I believe there are still some normal people. Let's see how you guys do it. I'll have to heal my wounds and think a way to get some food. Shou Ho suppressed his anger and replied, Big brother, don't worry. I'll definitely get to the bottom of the situation here. After saying that, he was the first to leave. Su Xiaoqiang didn't say anything and also got up to leave. He didn't know when, but he also took Yang Wu as his leader. He was previously a prison guard. Yang Wu stroked Little Hay, who had been following him, and said with a wry smile, Little Hay, I'll leave the matter of getting food to you. I really don't have much strength right now. After saying that, he closed his eyes and meditated to recover from his injuries. The battle just now had consumed a lot of his battle strength, and his injuries were extremely serious. Although he had been recovering along the way, it still wasn't enough. Little Hay shook her tail understandingly and then disappeared into the grass. At night, a chilly wind blew in the vicinity. It was as if there were ghosts crying out, causing people's hearts to palpitate. It was unknown how many people had died on this battlefield. Countless heroic spirits and war spirits were no longer present. Yang Wu's injuries had improved a lot. This was an advantage that no one else could compare to. Shou Ho and Su Xiaoqiang had already returned to his side. The two of them saw that Yang Wu was meditating and didn't disturb him. Instead, they each went to recover from their own injuries. When Yang Wu woke up, Little Hay had returned. Her little mouth had unknowingly spat out a dead wild boar. Yang Wu exclaimed, "Little Hay, when can you teach me your ability to store things?" Yang Wu knew that in this world, there was a type of spatial item called tranquil storage. It was a rare spiritual item that could only be found in the mortal world. Only the great guardians of the country, the imperial family, or the top-tier experts possessed such an item. It could store all kinds of things. For Little Hay to be able to store the corpse of a wild boar with its small body, it definitely had the ability to store things. Little Hay couldn't speak. It could only bark twice and then spit out a small tricolored flame, roasting the wild boar. This tricolored flame was shockingly powerful. This wasn't the first time Yang Wu had seen it. When he had obtained the dragon turtle sea turning technique, it had been this tricolored flame that had broken the seal of the sealing pearl. Little Hay, if you used this flame to kill someone, you would be able to burn them to death. Yang Wu sighed from the bottom of his heart. Little Hay raised its head proudly. It even gave Yang Wu a look that said, "You have good taste." Yang Wu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Yang Wu called Shouho and Su Xiaoqiang over to eat the meat together. The two of them took a bite of the cooked wild boar, and their eyes lit up. They quickly tore into the wild boar meat and wolfed it down. "When you're full, tell me about the army situation," Yang Wu said as he wiped the lard from the corner of his mouth. "Big brother, the situation is not good," Shouho immediately replied. "I feel like we're about to die. If I had known, I wouldn't have joined this army," Su Xiaoqiang said dejectedly. Chapter 76. The Death Legion had been established 100 years ago, and they were all death soldiers on the battlefield. Almost all the members of this legion had died a horrible death. Shouho and Su Xiaoqiang had obtained information from some easygoing veterans, and they kept telling Yang Wu about it. Back then, the Death Legion's commander was one of the top 5 experts in the Barbarian Suppression Army. She was a true king-level expert, and it was said that she was also an extraordinary beauty. She was known as the Rose of Death, and her killing methods were also abnormally powerful and terrifying. However, this commander seemed to be a dragon that moved in and out of sight. Unless it was a real war, she would rarely appear. There were rumors that she had infiltrated the barbarian army to spy on the military situation. There were also rumors that she was cultivating in the mountains. Perhaps only she herself knew where she was. Usually, the cold-faced adjutant was in charge of the military affairs. This adjutant's strength was also not to be underestimated. He was either a step away from becoming a king-level expert or a beginner king-level expert. Not many people knew his true strength. They only knew that he had fought against 5 top-level barbarian generals at the same time and easily took the heads of 2 of them. This was enough to show his strength. Other than these 2, there were 10 publicly recognized Kiliarch-level figures in the Legion, and Li Dazue happened to be one of them. Unfortunately, he was only ranked 8th out of the 10. This meant that there were 7 people stronger than him, and the 2 people ranked behind him were not much weaker than him. Other than these apparent experts, there were a total of 3,650 members in the Legion. This number was constantly changing. The highest number had almost reached 10,000, and the lowest number was less than 100. This fluctuation was caused by the addition of new blood when people died. At present, the 10 Kiliarch-level figures each led their own team to earn merit points. These merit points could be exchanged for elixirs, battle techniques, and combat weapons. They could even be freed from their status as prison slaves and be promoted to nobility. Every time they killed a martial soldier-level barbarian, they would earn 10 merit points. Every time they killed a beginner warrior, they would earn 20 merit points. Intermediate warriors would earn 30 merit points. Advanced warriors would earn 40 merit points. Top-level warriors would earn 50 merit points. Beginner generals would earn 100 merit points, and intermediate generals would earn 200 merit points. The higher their realm, the more merit points they would earn. These were the benefits that the legionnaires obtained after killing enemies. However, in the Death Legion, more people earned merit points with their lives, but not their lives. First of all, every legionnaire had to earn new merit points. These merit points didn't have to be from killing barbarians. They could be from ordinary old herbs, spirit demon eggs, or young spirit demon cubs. As long as they contributed to the legion, they would be counted. The barbarians would be forced to join the barbarian army if they didn't obtain any merits within a month. They would either return with merits or die on the battlefield. If they didn't dare to join the barbarian army, they would have their arms chopped off. If they didn't obtain any merits in the second month, they would have their legs chopped off. If they didn't obtain any merits in 3 months, they would be killed. Of the legionnaires, killed. Who asked the majority of the Death Legion to be made up of vicious people? Wolf Smoke Mountain Prison was one of the prisons of the Great Xiad dynasty. Only ordinary warriors were imprisoned there. They weren't the most terrifying criminals. Therefore, the prison slaves who came out of there were almost the bottom of the hierarchy. The Death Legion's bloodline was made up of bandits, mountain bandits, soldiers who broke military rules, and those who were raised to be death warriors. These people were quite powerful, but they were difficult to tame. Therefore, they were all thrown into the Death Legion and led by the Rose of Death. Although the Death Legion's management was lax, if anyone dared to rebel, there would be people in the dark to take the traitor's head. Therefore, some people suspected that there were people in the Death Legion who were spies from the military. If anyone had any thoughts of rebellion, they would be able to detect it immediately and kill them. Because of this, there were very few people who dared to rebel against the Death Legion. A small number of them applied to leave after earning enough merit points. After hearing this, Yang Wu didn't have much surprise on his face. He wasn't as panicked as Shou Ho and Su Xiaoqiang. "Big brother, what should we do? We're dead for sure," Shou Ho said fearfully. Yang Wu laughed lightly. "Shou Ho, don't forget that we said before we came to the Death Legion that we would disregard life and death. Now that I heard this, it's much better than I imagined. I thought that we would be arranged to fight on the battlefield as soon as we arrived at the Death Legion. We would only be able to retreat after we had earned enough merit points." Su Xiaoqiang said from the side, "But we're all soldiers. We shouldn't fight for each other's merit points. What's wrong with that? This is a world where the strong prey on the weak. Moreover, in the Death Legion, no one knows when they'll die. Who cares about military rules?" Yang Wu sighed. Then he said seriously, "Now that we've entered the Death Legion, we should take things as they come. We should work hard to improve our strength and improve our killing methods." Skinny Monkey-like Su Xiaoqiang and Skinny Monkey-like Su Xiaoqiang fell in a deep thought. After a while, their panicked expressions became calm. Indeed, they had already joined. What was the use of being afraid? It was better to think about how to save their lives. "You're right. Since we've all joined, we should kill our way to becoming a true king." Su Xiaoqiang clenched his fists and said proudly, "You don't have hope. Only Big Brother and I have hope." Shou Ho couldn't help but say, "Grandson, you still don't know that my realm is higher than yours." Su Xiaoqiang was angry. "So what if your realm is higher than mine? Do you think I'm afraid of you?" Shou Ho rolled up his sleeves and shouted, "Okay, today I'll let you know what it means to kneel and beg for mercy. Who's afraid of who?" Just like this, the two of them started fighting. However, neither of them used profound qi. It was as if they were fighting on the streets. There was no order to it at all. You punch, I kick. They kept fighting in private. Yang Wu was too lazy to pay attention to them. He already knew that these two guys in front of him were natural enemies. If they didn't bicker for a day, they wouldn't be able to live. Letting them fight was good. Now, Yang Wu was thinking about getting a suitable weapon, as well as increasing his own combat trump card. Otherwise, it would be completely insufficient on the battlefield. Yang Wu started to cultivate the flying leg. He was slowly getting used to this leg technique. Without the restraint of the chains, his whole body was much more relaxed. His feet were incomparably nimble, like a spirit snake constantly spitting out its tongue, swaying and kicking. There were streaks of Xin Qi floating around. After Shou Ho and Su Xiaoqiang fought to a standstill, he saw Yang Wu groping in the dark to cultivate his combat skills. He didn't dare to stay idle and found a place to start cultivating. One night passed quickly. After Yang Wu woke up from his meditation, he called Shou Ho and Su Xiaoqiang to go to the soldier pit to find a suitable weapon. Although Yang Wu had cultivated the whirling wave palm to the perfect stage and could perform 49 variations, if he had a spear, he could use the torrential storm spear art as a means of attack. It would be more offensive trump cards. The soldier pit was the place where all the Death Legion recruits had to get their weapons. It wasn't like the other regular soldiers who could get their weapons. Yang Wu, Shou Ho, and Su Xiaobing were full of expectations for the soldier pit. However, when they really arrived at the soldier pit, they were completely dumbfounded. Because this was a real pit. They saw a pit that was about 2 feet deep, filled with broken weapons. Perhaps it was more appropriate to call it scrap metal. Broken weapons were thrown here without any problems. They could also see many mountain rats using these broken weapons as nests, scurrying around. Damn, this really is a soldier pit. Su Xiaoqiang cursed. The Death Legion, even their weapons are these broken weapons. They're clearly sending people to their deaths. Shouho looked like he wanted to cry, but had no tears. Yang Wu took a deep breath and cursed. They want the horses to run faster, but they don't want to feed them. These F***king bastards. Big brother, let's go. We'll just snatch the weapons from the barbarians. Shouho pulled Yang Wu and said. Yang Wu was too lazy to pay attention to these broken soldiers. Just as he was about to turn and leave, Little Hay jumped down from his shoulder and jumped into the pile of broken soldiers. Little Hay used her front paws to push these broken soldiers away. Her movements were somewhat urgent, as if she had discovered something. Yang Wu stopped and muttered, Little Hay, could there be some good weapons down there? This Little Hay dog couldn't have smelled something and ran down to dig around, right? Su Xiaoqiang said. Yang Wu did not reply, and Shouho also waited quietly. They were all curious as to what kind of weapon Little Hay could find. Little Hay had dug into the bottom of the pit after sending many broken soldiers flying, and with great difficulty, she pulled out a weapon with her teeth. At first glance, this weapon looked quite good. It was a 3-pronged spear. The spearhead had 3 forks and was about 6 feet long. The handle was rusty with dragon patterns, and the end of the spear was like a phoenix feather. It could be said to be a rather beautiful weapon, but the body of the spear was covered in cracks. Even the spearhead was the same. It looked like a ceramic that was about to shatter and would completely shatter with a single touch. Little Hay dragged the 3-pronged spear in front of Yang Wu and barked repeatedly, as if telling Yang Wu to use this weapon. This Little Hay dog's taste is really. Su Xiaoqiang covered his face and said in disappointment. Shouho's eyes suddenly flashed red as he clearly saw the situation of this weapon. Then, he said excitedly, Big brother, quickly put this weapon away. This guy is also crazy. Su Xiaoqiang said disdainfully. Shouho ignored Su Xiaoqiang and continued to urge, Big brother, if you don't want it, I'll take it. This is definitely a peerless weapon. Yang Wu smiled and said, Don't be in such a hurry. As long as it's something Little Hay gives me, I'll take it all. After saying that, he picked up the weapon that looked like it was about to collapse. When he held this weapon, he realized that this 3-pronged spear was actually very heavy. Even someone like him, whose battle prowess was comparable to a general realm cultivator, had a struggle to hold it. He thought to himself, Is there really something strange about this weapon? Right at this moment, a mocking voice rang out from nearby. Brats who haven't even grown out their hair are picking up broken soldiers in the pit. These bastards are born to be cheap. Oh, there are also some broken soldiers here. Do you guys like any of them? Feel free to pick and play with them. Chapter 77. The newcomers were 3 soldiers dressed in proper military uniforms. Each of them carried a pile of damaged weapons in their arms. It was obvious that they were going to toss these damaged weapons into the pit. These 3 were Chun Sinan, Zhao Shidi, and Yu Yiqian from the armory. These 3 were all top-notch warriors and were usually in charge of maintaining the armory. These fellows didn't have much combat ability, but they relied on the fact that they had someone above them. They acted high and mighty in front of many new recruits. Even if some of the veterans wanted to ask for weapons from the armory, they would still have to give them some benefits. Only then would they hand over the truly good weapons. How could a soldier be unarmed on the battlefield? This was also the reason why Yang Wu, Shouho, and Su Xiaoqiang came to the pit to look for weapons. When the three of them heard Chun Sinan's disdainful words, they felt uncomfortable in their hearts, but they endured it. They were indeed new recruits. What was wrong with being scolded by the veterans? Shou-ho, hurry up and find your weapon, Yang Wu calmly said to Shou-ho. Okay, Shou-ho replied and jumped into the pit. If Little Hay hadn't pulled out the trident from the pit, he would have thought that the pit was filled with damaged weapons. But now he didn't think that way. Perhaps he could find something good. Little Hay followed Shou-ho and jumped into the pit again. It was as if she didn't want Shou-ho to snatch anything good. Su Xiaoqiang muttered, "What's the use of these damaged weapons?" Chun Sinan and the other two were ignored. Their expressions darkened. Chun Sinan opened his mouth again. "Are you deaf? Can't you hear this great master? You can speak human language. We don't understand what you're saying," Yang Wu said with a serious face. Pooh! It was the first time that Su Xiaoqiang had seen this side of Yang Wu. He couldn't help but laugh. This was bad. Chun Sinan and the others had bad tempers to begin with, and when they heard Yang Wu scolding them, they were immediately annoyed. Chun Sinan said to the two people beside him, "It seems that these newbies don't know how powerful the three heroes of the arsenal are. Let's teach them a lesson." Zhao Shidi and Yu Yiqian stepped forward at the same time, rubbing their knuckles as if they were ready to beat him up. "Su Xiaoqiang, you go," Yang Wu said to Su Xiaoqiang, who was beside him. "You really think of yourself as a big brother? Huh. You're a prison slave, and I'm a pawn." Su Xiaoqiang said in dissatisfaction, "Because I'm stronger than you." Yang Wu's reply caused Su Xiaoqiang to choke. Reality was just that cruel. This was a world where strength was respected. Su Xiaoqiang suppressed his anger and shouted, "You two scum, come here and die." Su Xiaoqiang was an advanced warrior, and he had the ability to escape. He didn't think much of his opponent, but soon he was completely unlucky. Su Xiaoqiang took advantage of his speed and attacked Zhao Shidi first. A fist that contained a lot of power was aimed at Zhao Shidi's face. He thought proudly, "Hit someone in the face first before hitting them. This feels great." Unfortunately, before his fist could reach Zhao Shidi's face was hit by Zhao Shidi's fist. One of his eyes instantly became red and swollen, and he was in so much pain that he retreated. "How dare you play boxing in front of me, Zhao Shidi? What a joke." Zhao Shidi laughed disdainfully. Zhao Shidi's nickname was Quick Fist. His fists were like the wind, and it was difficult to block. Su Xiaoqiang suffered a loss, but he wasn't discouraged. He turned around and kicked Yu Yiqian. This kick contained his full strength, and he was determined to regain some face. Similarly, before his foot landed on Yu Yiqian made the first move and kicked his lower abdomen, causing him to vomit blood and fly far away. Yu Yiqian's leg was facing the sky in a split, and he sneered, "Trying to play kicking in front of my one-kick kill? You're courting death." Yu Yiqian's strongest point was his feet. His feet could crack rocks and destroy trees. Su Xiaoqiang was really hurt this time. One of his eyes was swollen, and the kick to his stomach made his stomach churn. It was difficult for him to stand up. "Hee, it's too late to kneel down and admit your mistake. You rookies, listen carefully. In a military camp, the strongest thing is your fist." Chun Sinan sneered. "Can you still do it? If you can't, let me do it." Yang Wu asked Su Xiaoqiang. Yang Wu and Su Xiaoqiang weren't familiar with each other. Although they were now together, Su Xiaoqiang still had his own pride. He still looked down on the fallen Viscount. He felt that Yang Wu had dragged Wan Lanxin down. Therefore, from now on, Yang Wu wanted Su Xiaoqiang to understand that the three of them were now in the same boat. They couldn't do without him at the helm. "Okay, how can a man say that he can't do it?" Su Xiaoqiang exclaimed in shock and leaped up, his figure moving in a strange manner as he charged toward Zhao Wei and Yu Yiqian. Su Xiaoqiang had already pulled out the giant sword that Yang Wu had given him. It was a general-class combat sword. Under his control, it was able to exert a lot of power, forcing Zhao Shidi and Yu Yiqian to dodge. Chun Sinan had been in the armory for a long time, so he could recognize that the giant sword in Su Xiaoqiang's hand was a good thing. He shouted, "Shidi, Yiqian, take his sword. I want it." Zhao Shidi and Yu Etian used their strength at the same time. One of them was a master of punches, while the other was a master of kicks. Soon, Su Xiaoqiang's weapon was knocked out of his hand, and his body was injured. Su Xiaoqiang was sent flying again, and he spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. It was really bad. Just as the giant sword was about to fall into Zhao Shidi's hands, someone quickly intercepted it. I snatched this sword from the battlefield. You have to ask me if you want to take it. Yang Wu looked at Zhao Shidi and Yu Etian and said indifferently. Then he added, if you can take out 2 or 3 combat weapons of the same level in exchange, I can give it to you. You've lost your mind. Zhao Shidi said disdainfully. He threw out a 1-inch punch, and a 1-inch punch instantly slammed into Yang Wu's lower abdomen. The speed of this punch was really fast, and it was impossible to guard against. Zhao Shidi was not a fool. He could feel that Yang Wu was different from the kid just now. Even if he was just putting on an act, he still looked like a real person. Therefore, he did not show any mercy when he punched. Zhao Shidi was known as the fast fist, which was the best proof of his fist technique. Yang Wu did not dodge this punch and was hit in the abdomen by Zhao Shidi. Just when Zhao Shidi thought that Yang Wu would be seriously injured, even if he did not die from his punch, he found that Yang Wu was standing still. He was completely stunned. This is your punch? Why is it so soft? Is it because you haven't eaten? Yang Wu looked at Zhao Shidi and said with disdain. Then take another punch. Zhao Shidi shouted. He condensed an even more powerful force on his fist. His fist was like a meteor as it flew towards Yang Wu's position. Rushing stream fist. The fist surged with tyrannical force. Another punch landed on Yang Wu's body. Unfortunately, it was still unable to touch Yang Wu. This time, Yang Wu did not wait for him to withdraw his fist. He had already grabbed his arm and said faintly, "What's the point of keeping such a useless fist?" Gotcha. Yang Wu directly broke Zhao Shidi's arm. The ear-piercing sound echoed throughout the surroundings. Zhao Shidi's screams were like the sound of a pig being butchered. Yu Etian quickly kicked at Yang Wu 7 times. Each kick contained a tyrannical force. They were aimed at Yang Wu's head, neck, waist, and lower body. Yu Etian really did not hold back. He absolutely could not give Yang Wu any chance to fight back. Otherwise, he would end up like Zhao Shidi. However, although Yu Etian's kicks were fast, Yang Wu's reaction was even faster. He directly pulled Zhao Shidi in front of him and used Zhao Shidi as a meat shield to completely block Yu Etian's attack. Zhao Shidi was completely miserable. Yu Etian could not withdraw his leg in time and kicked him several times. He almost died on the spot. Yu Etian was very angry. However, just as he withdrew his leg, Yang Wu had already closed in. A palm print fiercely slammed into his chest. Yu Etian's chest caved in. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fell heavily to the ground. It was difficult for him to get up again. Zhao Shidi and Yu Etian were both defeated in one move by Yang Wu. This frightened Chun Sinan. Chun Sinan's strength was about the same as the two of them. Even if he was stronger than them, it would take him a lot of effort to defeat them. How could he be defeated so easily like Yang Wu? Su Xiaoqiang looked at the powerful Yang Wu and could not help but reveal a complicated expression. No matter what Yang Wu's identity was in the past, the current Yang Wu was indeed a prison slave soldier. If he wanted to gain his recognition, perhaps he would have to wait until he truly got rid of his identity as a prison slave. Right now, he only had a little more respect for him. A powerful warrior, no matter what his identity was worthy of respect. Moreover, Yang Wu's realm was the same as his, but the combat strength that he displayed was like a mountain that others could only look up to. This kind of genius who can fight above his level is the monster that Miss was talking about. No wonder Miss looked at him differently. Su Xiaoqiang sighed in his heart. In the next moment, Yang Wu had already rushed in front of Chun Sinan. Chun Sinan was so scared that he retreated. He shouted, "I am Chun Sinan, the guard of the armory. If you dare to hit me." Before he could finish his words, Yang Wu had already grabbed Chun Sinan's collar and slapped his face repeatedly. Slap, slap. Who told you to look down on us recruits? Who told you to act like a tyrant in front of us? Who told you to look down on this Viscount? Yang Wu's angry slapping of Chun Sinan caused quite a commotion, but many people did not come to join the fun. After all, the army pit was in the territory of the Death Legion. The Death Legion was not restricted by military rules. As long as they did not openly kill their own people, they could fight freely. Yang Wu slapped Chun Sinan 18 times, beating him until his head was swollen. Then he pushed him to the ground and said condescendingly, "Don't look down on others in the future. You won't have a good ending." Chun Sinan wanted to die. He thought that the other party was a rookie and was nothing to be afraid of. He did not expect to meet a fiend. Just you wait," Chun Sinan said unwillingly. He had not been bullied like this for a long time. This hatred must be avenged. Just as Yang Wu was about to say something, a staff light suddenly shot up from the army pit. It was dozens of feet away, causing quite a commotion. Chapter 78. If it was a general realm cultivator, it would not be a big deal at all. However, this staff light was not man-made at all. It seemed to have been attracted by some force and directly rushed out of the pit, smashing most of the broken weapons into pieces. It soared into the sky in one fell swoop, bringing with it a dense fire that illuminated the world. At this moment, some people nearby were alarmed by the commotion, and all of them revealed astonished expressions. There's something strange over at the pit. Did someone pick up something good from there? Most of the weapons in the pit are broken weapons. Of course, there are one or two weapons with some incomplete power, but this is nothing at all. Look at this fire. The power of the broken weapon is not ordinary. Is it a broken king weapon? I'll go and take a look. Maybe it's just the final radiance of the setting sun. Anyway, if we get it and study it, we might be able to gain something. More than a dozen people from the Death Legion rushed in this direction. Their movements were extremely light and fast. They had all reached the warrior realm, and there were also some powerhouses in the general realm. Yang Wu and Su Xiaoqiang were both shocked by the dazzling light. The oppressive fire made them feel heavy pressure. Su Xiaoqiang, Driver Chun, Zhao Stun, and Yu Yiqian could not get up. Even Yang Wu found it difficult to stand. The skinny monkey stared blankly at the broken staff in his hand. His eyes glowed red, looking extremely demonic. It was as if some kind of power had broken out of the seal in his body. His realm had actually advanced from a low-level warrior to a mid-level warrior. "Skinny Monkey, put away your weapon." Yang Wu realized that Skinny Monkey had found an extraordinary weapon and urged him. He had already sensed that people were rushing over from different directions. "Haha, there's really an amazing broken weapon. It should belong to me, Black Bat." Someone rushed over at an extremely fast speed. After a long laugh, he clawed out a 1.5-meter long claw mark towards the skinny monkey-like broken stick, wanting to snatch it. At the same time, another person threw out a long whip from another direction. Its target was also directly locked on to the broken staff. "A broken staff is not suitable for you. Let me have it." Another person's voice rang out. A green rainbow turned into a green crane and flew over to bite the broken staff. These three people were all top warriors and were not ordinary. However, in Yang Wu's eyes, they were nothing. Just as he was about to block them, Skinny Monkey with the broken staff let out a battle cry, "Fight!" At this moment, the Skinny Monkey seemed to have transformed into a powerhouse with soaring battle intent. The broken staff in his hand swept out, and a strong flame tore through the surroundings, directly shattering the claw, the whip, and the green crane. Chun Sinan, Zhao Stun, and Yu Yiqian, who had just been bullied by Yang Wu, were instantly dumbfounded. They thought that Yang Wu, this recruit, was already very powerful. They did not expect that there was an even more powerful recruit in the pit. If this person had fought against them just now, they would have died. They did not even think about it. They hurriedly rolled and crawled away from this place. They only wished that they had more legs. "Skinny Monkey," Yang Wu cried out involuntarily. Unfortunately, Skinny Monkey seemed to have lost his mind. He held the broken staff and attacked those who were rushing over. At this moment, his combat prowess was really quite ferocious. The broken cudgel kept blasting out cudgel lights that were dozens of feet long, knocking down those who wanted to come over and snatch the broken cudgel. Those who had not reached the general realm were so scared that they all stopped in their tracks. What a good broken weapon. I'll take it. A powerhouse who had reached the general realm rushed over. A fist as big as a mountain blasted mercilessly at Skinny Monkey. The force of the fist reached a distance of 3 feet. Skinny Monkey's eyes were bloodshot. He held the broken staff with both hands and smashed it against the fist. He directly shattered the fist force. Then he stomped his feet fiercely. Like an agile ape leaping over a mountain, his slanted figure had already landed on top of the man's head. The broken staff swept across like a crescent moon and hit the man's body. Bang! The man's shin armor was not strong enough. It was directly smashed into pieces. His body was pushed back heavily. There was already a deep wound on his shoulder. The wound was so deep that the bone could be seen. The man was shocked. He did not expect the other party to be so powerful. When the thin, monkey-like figure wanted to chase after him, for cultivators of the general realm surrounded him from left and right. They used all kinds of methods, including swords, sabers, rods, and hooks. Their different attacks flickered with colorful and overbearing chi. Yang Wu looked at these attacks. He might not be able to withstand them. He broke out in cold sweat for Skinny Monkey. At the same time, he was already holding the trident tightly. He was ready to join the battle. He did not want anything to happen to Skinny Monkey. However, Skinny Monkey's performance was beyond his expectations. He held the broken staff and swung it around. He either swept it or smashed it, shattering all the attacks. They could not get close to him at all. Skinny Monkey's fiery red eyes saw the trajectory of the attacks of those people clearly. He quickly counterattacked. The broken staff spewed out a domineering fiery staff light that was 5 or 6 feet long. He was really invincible. Those people were forced to retreat again and again. One of them was unlucky enough to be hit. He was seriously injured and rolled out of the battle. When one person was forced to retreat, the other 3 could not do anything. They were all injured by Skinny Monkey's broken staff. They were so scared that they quickly retreated as far as possible, for fear that they would be killed by this fierce young man. Just as Skinny Monkey was about to chase after them, Yang Wu shouted again, "Skinny Monkey, calm down." Yang Wu used all his strength to shout. He was afraid that he would not be able to call Skinny Monkey back. Sure enough, Skinny Monkey admired Yang Wu. After hearing Yang Wu's words, his mind became much clearer. The momentum on his body suddenly disappeared, and the light of the broken staff dimmed. He said in a daze, "What's going on?" After saying that, he fell to the ground weakly and almost fainted on the spot. Yang Wu quickly rushed over and asked, "Skinny Monkey, are you all right?" Skinny Monkey shook his head gently and said, "Big brother, I'm fine. I'm just a little weak. It's good that you're all right. Let's go quickly." Yang Wu helped Skinny Monkey up and said. He did not wait for Little Hay and quickly left. Skinny Monkey had made such a big movement. There would definitely be people looking for trouble. If they did not leave now, there would be trouble. Su Xiaoqiang originally wanted to stay alone. That way, he could get rid of the suspicion of being in the same group as Yang Wu and Skinny Monkey. He did not have to be afraid of being avenged. However, he hesitated for a moment and then chased after them. I, Su Xiaoqiang, am not a coward who is afraid of trouble. Su Xiaoqiang firmly thought in his heart. There were still some people who were ready to make trouble and wanted to surround Yang Wu and the others. Yang Wu only said one sentence and let them directly beat the drum. "We are Li Dazue's men," who in the Death Legion did not know the name of Li Dazue. Even if there were 10 Kiliarch-level commanders in the Death Legion, Li Dazue was still the most disgusting person that no one wanted to provoke. In this way, Yang Wu quickly rushed to find Li Dazue with Skinny Monkey. They were now weak. Without the fierce name of Li Dazue to protect them, they were afraid that they would be tortured to death by the guys here. Fortunately, Li Dazue was lying in a fixed place. It was not difficult to find him. It was just that he was surrounded by human limbs. It was still very disgusting. This place seemed to be a forbidden area. Except for a limited number of people in the Death Legion, no one would take the initiative to come here. Li Dazue was indifferent to the arrival of Yang Wu and the others. He continued to lie down and sleep. It seemed that he would only take the initiative to go to the battlefield channel to hunt the barbarians when he was hungry. Those who followed Yang Wu and the others retreated unwillingly. They did not want to get close to Li Dazue, this disgusting guy. Yang Wu and the others could finally breathe a sigh of relief. They were really afraid that it would cause a group robbery like just now. They could resist for a while, but it would be difficult to resist the siege of more people. Even more powerful people would appear. On the battlefield, a good combat weapon was often the key to victory or defeat. Everyone wanted to have a better weapon. Skinny Monkey's combat weapon was of unknown grade, but it was able to display great power. Naturally, it was coveted by many. "Boss, I found an amazing divine weapon." Skinny Monkey came back to his senses and said excitedly to Yang Wu, "Then guard it well. Don't let others rob it." Yang Wu said with a gratified smile. He treated Skinny Monkey as a brother. What was the difference between his brother's weapon and his own? Naturally, he would not be jealous. "Don't worry, no one could take it away from me." At this moment, Skinny Monkey was incomparably confident. Su Xiaoqiang felt a little unbalanced in his heart. He wanted to wait 2 days before going to the soldier pit to see if he could pick up some scraps. That's good, but you have to control your strength. This is the army. Don't kill so easily. Yang Wu reminded him. Skinny Monkey scratched his bird's nest and said, "I didn't control it well. Once it recognizes me as its master, I will be able to control it." He paused for a moment and said, "Boss, your weapon is also not bad." Yang Wu smiled and said, "I hope so." In fact, he really couldn't see anything good about this broken trident, but he believed in Little Hay. Soon, Little Hay ran back and excitedly circled around Yang Wu. Then, it jumped onto Yang Wu's shoulder and let out happy barks. Yang Wu asked, "You found something good again?" "Woof, woof." "Swallow it and let me see." "Woof, woof." "Don't be so stingy. My trident doesn't look like a divine weapon that can compare to Skinny Monkey's broken staff. Aren't you embarrassed to let me use it against the enemy?" "Woof, woof." "Hey, Little Hay, what are you doing? This trident is almost destroyed, and you still want to put it away? That's immoral." Yang Wu was holding onto the trident that Little Hay had not snatched away. Little Hay suddenly bit Yang Wu's finger. It was so painful that Yang Wu quickly retracted his hand, but blood had already dripped onto the trident. Yang Wu said to Little Hay, "Little Hay, you're serious." At this moment, the trident suddenly emitted a faint glow that no one noticed. Chapter 79. After Chen Sinan, Zhao Stun, and Yu Iqian rolled back to the armory with their injuries, Chen Sinan couldn't swallow his anger. He went straight to the heavy armor camp to find his cousin, Chao Qinggong, to complain. Chao Qinggong was one of the deputy commanders of the heavy armor camp. He was also the leader of the younger generation in the barbarian suppression army. There was a saying, "Wherever the Qingyi sword passes, all barbarian generals bow their heads." It was enough to show Chao Qinggong's strength. Chao Qinggong was only about 28 years old. He had the strength of the senior general realm and was one of the candidates for the position of young marshal. His father was a lieutenant general in the barbarian suppression army. Because of this, Chen Sinan was able to take such a lucrative position in the arsenal, which was also the reason why he was so arrogant. Chao Qinggong was dressed in a green robe. He had a jade-like face and a slender figure. He had a scholarly and elegant demeanor. He was an image that ladies in the boudoir liked very much. Chen Sinan cried, "Cousin, look at my face. It's swollen like a pig's head. You must avenge me." Those 3 damned recruits actually snatched the incomplete royal armament I found in the pit and even threatened to kill me. If it weren't for the fact that we still had some fighting strength, I'm afraid we would have died there. Cousin, you must avenge me. After listening to Chen Sinan's tearful complaints, Chao Qinggong only said indifferently, "The recruits of the Death Legion can make you suffer." Also, was that damaged royal armament real? The soldier pit is full of trash you threw out. Some of them were picked up by others who died on the battlefield. Did you really pick them up? How could Chao Qinggong not understand his cousin's character? 8 out of 10 of his words were empty, but Chen Sinan was his aunt's son. He could only let his disappointing cousin do whatever he wanted. It's true. A few guys from the Death Legion wanted to take the opportunity to snatch the weapon, but they were directly obliterated. The broken royal weapon is too powerful. Chen Sinan said seriously. The weapon in the soldier pit belongs to whoever wants it. This is a military rule. Chao Qinggong narrowed his eyes and sighed softly. Chen Sinan said anxiously, "But are we just going to let them bully me?" "Okay, I'll get someone to follow up on this matter later. If possible, we'll capture them and let you vent your anger. But this won't happen again," Chao Qinggong said. "That's my good cousin." Chen Sinan responded with satisfaction. In addition to Chao Qinggong paying attention to this matter, many people in the Death Legion were also interested in Shouho's broken staff. Among them, the 10th-ranked Demon Staff Hong Martial Division was the most interested. The Hong Martial Division had the nickname of Rod Monster. It was a high-level, soldier-level rod technique that had been cultivated to the perfect level. Even normal general techniques would not be able to suppress him. He was extremely obsessed with rod techniques. Now that a broken rod weapon had appeared, how could he not be jealous? He was Sinan's men's man, and had more than 300 men under his usually. He led his subordinates. He had been seriously injuries as his had. He had not to battle, as had been as his had. His had, and was he had been recuperated had not to battle, and his tea, as staff's eyes was. Now he had received news of a broken staff, and some of his subordinates had been killed while fighting for it. He had a reason to seek justice. Li Dazue's trash also has a few subordinates. Those who became his subordinates are all dead. Demon Staff muttered as he bit a weed. Demon Staff did not immediately take his men to cause trouble for Li Dazue's group. It would not be too late for him to do so after leaving the camp. At night, Yang Wu, Shouho, and Su Xiaoqiang were meditating near Li Dazue. They knew that Li Dazue's notoriety was out there, and no one dared to provoke him. Yang Wu, on the other hand, had obtained 2 more weapons from Blackie. One of them was half a long whip, while the other was an unremarkable iron sword. The long whip was exquisitely crafted, but it was a pity that after being broken in half, it could no longer display the whip's power, so it had been abandoned. The iron sword looked ordinary, just like an ordinary weapon. It did not have the slightest bit of spirit energy, nor did it have the slightest bit of aura. The edge of the sword was also very dull, as if it was not completely unsheathed. There were also no fancy carvings on it, so no one would want to keep it. Little Hay had given him these 2 weapons, but he did not throw them away. He had already seen Little Hay's spirit, so these weapons should still be useful. Yang Wu used the long whip as a belt and tied it around his waist. He said with great satisfaction, "Little Hay, don't you think I'm handsome?" Once this Viscount gets rid of his prison slave status and reclaims his title, I don't know how many girls will fall head over heels for me. At that time, I'll find you a beautiful little bitch to be your wife. Little Hay rolled her eyes at Yang Wu, as if to say, shameless. Yang Wu ignored Little Hay's roll of eyes. He grabbed the ordinary iron sword and waved it a few times. Apart from being a little heavy, this iron sword doesn't seem to have any power. However, Little Hay, since you brought it here, I believe it must have some use. I'll carry it on my back and practice a sword technique in the future. I'll let it force out the edge of a heavy sword. Finally, Yang Wu picked up the trident spear that was about to shatter and began to practice the torrential spear technique. As Yang Wu's movements progressed, he felt as if the trident spear in his hand had become one with him, and he could use it with great ease. This was a feeling that he had never experienced before, whether it was at home or in the mountain prison. It was as if this weapon was tailor-made for him, and it was very suitable for him. Not only that, but he also discovered that there were traces of multicolored light floating in the cracks of the trident spear. This multicolored light had little to do with his celestial chi, because he didn't use his celestial chi to practice his moves. He was only practicing his moves and practicing his intent. There were 4 stages to a battle technique: minute subtlety, proficiency, great success, and perfection. However, there was also a kind of intent realm that exceeded the scope of a battle technique. This kind of intent realm was called spear intent, saber intent, and sword intent. Intent realm was a very mysterious realm, and it could be said to be a transcendent realm. As long as one had a weapon in hand, even if it was the most ordinary battle technique, as long as one had a transcendent intent realm, they would be able to unleash unimaginable power. Now, Yang Wu hadn't reached that level yet, but he was searching for it. This trident spear allowed him to vaguely capture a sense of that intent. This had a lot to do with the fact that he could use the trident with ease. If he couldn't even use the weapon in his hand, not only would it affect the performance of his battle technique, but he could also forget about comprehending that transcendent intent realm. Yang Wu stopped and gently stroked the trident spear. He muttered to himself regretfully, "This trident spear is really suitable for me to use, but why is it so damaged?" Yang Wu didn't think too much about it. His current situation was much better than when he was in the mountain prison. The most important thing now was to continue cultivating and increasing his strength. The next day, Yang Wu saw that Li Dazue didn't ask him to set off to kill the barbarians, and that Shou Ho and Su Xiaoqiang still needed time to continue recovering from their injuries. Thus, he informed them and headed to the battle skill tablet together. The battle skill tablet was a battle technique that the barbarian suppression army had created for all the soldiers. There were a total of 7 battle techniques, and each battle technique had a different level. It was said that there was even a battle technique left behind by the Battle King of Death. However, there weren't many people who could comprehend it. This battle skill tablet was different from the soldier's pit. The soldier's pit was a real pit, while the battle skill tablet was a treasure that was placed in the middle of the entire military camp for everyone to refer to and comprehend. Yang Wu, Shou Ho, and Su Xiaoqiang weren't afraid of others taking revenge on them. In any case, they had already spread the name of Li Dazue. If anyone came looking for trouble with them, they would have to first consider if they could withstand Li Dazue's revenge. In the military camp, military orders were like mountains, and military rules were like mountains. Other than the Death Legion, which didn't have these rules, the other military camps all had these rules. Absolutely no one would dare to cause trouble in front of the battle skill tablet. Those who disobeyed the orders would be executed. No one would dare to openly do anything that was against the rules unless they were in the Death Legion's territory. Therefore, when Yang Wu, Shou Ho, and Su Xiaoqiang appeared in front of the battle skill tablet, those who secretly wanted to snatch the broken staff in Shou Ho's hands didn't dare to make a move. They could only secretly remember their appearances and wait for an opportunity later. Along the way, there were at least 8 waves of people eyeing us covetously. Yang Wu whispered to Shou Ho and Su Xiaoqiang, "Big brother, it's fine. The broken staff has already recognized me as its master. They can't snatch it away." Shou Ho laughed. "That's good." Yang Wu nodded with satisfaction. Su Xiaoqiang said with a bitter taste in his mouth, "Combat weapons are just external objects. Only strength is the foundation to rely on. Today, I will definitely comprehend the battle skill tablet and increase my combat strength." "I know you are jealous." Shou Ho turned his face to Su Xiaoqiang and said, "Bullshit. It's just a broken staff. What's there to be jealous of?" Su Xiaoqiang retorted, "You are jealous." Shou Ho said again. Su Xiaoqiang was speechless. He swore that he would definitely comprehend a battle skill today and suppress Shou Ho's smug appearance. There were many people gathered in front of the battle skill tablet. Every one of them was here to comprehend the battle skill tablet. There were 7 battle skill tablets here. Each one was about 2 feet tall and 5 feet wide. They stood here separately. After being exposed to the wind and rain every day, they were polished until they were shiny and dazzling. There are so many people here. Yang Wu couldn't help but sigh. Of course, I heard that there's a king skill left behind by the Death Battle King. Whoever can comprehend it will be able to carve out a path of death, just like the Death Battle King. Su Xiaoqiang said from aside, "That lonely stone tablet over there seems to be a battle skill left behind by the Death Battle King." Shou Ho pointed at an inconspicuous stone tablet and said. In fact, he didn't know whether it was that tablet or not. He was just purposely trying to argue with Su Xiaoqiang. What a joke. How can no one comprehend a battle skill left behind by the Death Battle King? It's probably a weapon skill, so no one cares about it. Su Xiaoqiang replied, who knew that just as he finished speaking, a passing soldier said, "You are wrong. That really is a battle skill tablet left behind by the Death Battle King." This time, Su Xiaoqiang was completely dumbfounded. Shouho didn't laugh because he guessed correctly. Just like Yang Wu, his head was filled with question marks. Why is there no one in front of the Death Battle King's battle skill tablet? Chapter 80. The 7 battle skill steals were all free for all soldiers to study. Aside from the battle steel left behind by the Death War King, the rest were divided into 1 soldier skill, 3 soldier skills, and 2 general skills. Soldier skills were the easiest battle skills to master and were also the most widely used on the battlefield. Anyone could learn them. Soldier-level battle skills required some comprehension to master. As for general skills, it wasn't so easy. If one didn't have a bit of talent, they wouldn't be able to learn them. No matter what, these 6 battle skills were something to look forward to. Some people practiced 2 or 3 battle skills at the same time. There were even people who practiced 6 battle skills at the same time. However, only one person managed to comprehend the battle skill of the Death War King. The others all returned empty-handed. There were even people who were seriously injured after trying to comprehend the battle skill of the Death War King. There were even people who went crazy. As more and more people failed, the battle skill steal left behind by the Death War King became neglected. This was the truth that Yang Wu learned from a soldier friend who had just passed by. The soldier said to Yang Wu, "I can tell that you guys are new. Just go to the battle steals and comprehend the battle skills. Don't even think about comprehending the battle skill of the Death War King." After the soldier finished speaking, he squeezed into the crowd and chose the battle skill that he wanted to comprehend. The battle skill left behind by the Death War King, "I'm coming. Your battle skill must be left behind for me." Su Xiaoqiang exclaimed and rushed towards the lone battle skill steal. Yang Wu wanted to stop him, but it was too late. "Big brother, let's go to the other battle skill steals," Shouho said to Yang Wu. Yang Wu nodded and followed Shouho to the battle skill steal. The first battle skill steal was inscribed with the soldier skill, Soldier Fist. This Soldier Fist was the most practical battle skill. No matter if it was an ordinary soldier or a warrior on the battlefield, they could all practice it and use the simplest and most effective fist techniques to kill the enemy. The second battle skill tablet was inscribed with the inferior warrior's skill, 1-inch punch. This was a close combat killing fist. The punches were focused on speed, accuracy, and ruthlessness. The punches were aimed at the vital points of the human body. It could be said that 1-inch punch won life. The third battle skill tablet was inscribed with the intermediate warrior skill, Mountain Shattering Palm. This palm technique had the power to shatter mountains and split rocks. The hardness of the palms was extremely high. It wasn't something that an average person could practice. However, once it was mastered, it wouldn't be any worse than an advanced warrior skill. The fourth battle skill tablet was inscribed with the superior warrior skill, 12 Swords of Wind Chasing. This was a fast sword technique that could evolve into a total of 12 changes. The sword was like the wind, and the enemy was killed as easily as cutting grass. The fifth battle skill tablet was inscribed with the inferior general skill, Chaotic Horse Galloping Attack Saber. This was a saber technique that was extremely lethal on the battlefield. Every saber move was wide open, and in a chaotic battle, it was able to unleash the strongest killing power. The sixth battle skill tablet was inscribed with the inferior general skill, Blazing Cross Spear. This was a powerful battle skill that could unleash Fire Xian energy. Every move of the spear contained a cross-shaped killing intent. Once someone was stabbed, it would be difficult for the wound to heal, and they would bleed to death. Among these 6 battle skills, the easiest to understand was the Soldier Fist. However, the 2 battle skills that most people wanted to learn were still the 2 battle skills. Everyone knew that the higher the level of the battle skill, the more power it could unleash. Unfortunately, only a few people with outstanding talent were able to obtain the battle skills. After all, apart from Soldier's Fist, there was only one chance to comprehend the other 5 battle skills. Once the battle skill appeared, there was no way to resonate with the battle skill, and there was no way to obtain the incantation from the battle skill tablet. Then, it was destined that there was no way to practice the battle skill. This method was left behind by the previous War King. The purpose was to find better seedlings for the army. There was a rule in the army that whoever could learn the most battle skills would be rewarded with merits. Whoever could unleash the most power of the battle skill would have the opportunity to be promoted in the army. Because of this, when there were no major wars, the army would hold a challenge competition. Whoever won more battle skills and was stronger in the challenge competition would be rewarded with merits and could be directly appointed to a military post. In other words, the challenge competition was the fastest way to increase one's fame and position in the army. All of this was closely related to one's strength and the strength of the battle skills one comprehended. Because there were many people queuing up to learn the battle skills, Yang Wu and Shouho had no choice but to go to the Soldier Fist tablet to have a look. They wanted to understand the Soldier Fist tablet. "Big brother, why are you going to look at the Soldier Fist tablet?" Shouho asked, puzzled. He knew that Yang Wu had soldier-level battle skills, so he naturally didn't pay much attention to the Soldier Fist tablet. I've heard people say that no matter what kind of combat skill it is, it has its own unique side. If we understand one more combat skill, we can remember the advantages and disadvantages of these combat skills in our hearts. In the future, we can integrate the advantages and disadvantages of these combat skills and create our own unique combat skills. Yang Wu recalled the words of their Yang family's old instructor, which he had always engraved in his heart. That old instructor could be considered as half of his guide in martial arts. He was a veteran who had been on the battlefield with his father. Shouho scratched the back of his head and said, "Big brother, you're right. I thought the higher the level of the battle skill, the more powerful it is." "You're right, but there's no harm in having more battle skills." "Let's take a look," Yang Wu replied. They came in front of the battle skill tablet and looked at the inscriptions carved on the tablet. Then they looked at the human movements carved on the tablet. It was indeed simple and easy to understand. This Soldier Fist mainly consisted of simple horse stance, straight punch, forward punch, hook punch, and whip punch. There weren't too many fancy moves, and there weren't too many details. It was no wonder that many soldiers were extremely disdainful after seeing it. They all felt that it didn't matter if they didn't learn the Soldier Fist. It was no different from their usual casual punches. Yang Wu and Shouho both felt this way. They felt that the Soldier Fist was too unseemly. However, just as Yang Wu was about to leave, Shouho's eyes turned red. He then whispered, "Big brother, that Soldier Fist human figure seems to be moving." "I don't think so," Yang Wu replied after a serious look. "It's really moving. This Soldier Fist is so powerful," Shouho said as he grabbed Yang Wu's arm tightly. Yang Wu thought Shouho's eyes were playing tricks on him, but then little Hei, who was lying on Yang Wu's shoulder, suddenly burst out 2 mysterious lights that entered Yang Wu's eyes. Yang Wu didn't feel anything strange, but his eyesight suddenly increased. He really did see the human figure on the battle skill tablet move. "It really seems to be moving," Yang Wu replied. On the battle skill steel, the human figure was in a horse stance, throwing out straight punches, uppercuts. Every punch and every style had an inexplicable feeling of simplicity. It was as if a casual punch could reach the strongest killing power, able to break through the myriad of changes in a single punch. Yang Wu and Shouho were stunned. The people coming and going next to them didn't have much to do with them. They faintly perceived a mysterious feeling. It was a kind of fist technique that transcended the ordinary realm. After they received the movements of these human figures in the holy court, they woke up. When they looked at the human figure again, there was no reaction. "Big brother, it seems that this Soldier Fist is something else." Shouho sighed softly. "Well, don't tell anyone about this. Don't cause any trouble." Yang Wu nodded lightly. "I know," Shouho replied. At this moment, someone suddenly exclaimed, "Look, there's a kid over there who wants to comprehend the battle skill left by the Death War King. It seems that something is going to happen." In the past 10 years, Only Death Rose has truly comprehended the battle skill of the Death War King. That kid is delusional. Look, the battle skill tablet seems to be releasing the aura of death. It's so scary. That kid can't take it anymore. No one can withstand this kind of aura of death. The person sitting before the combat technique steel was none other than Su Xiaoqiang. At this moment, he was already sweating profusely. It was as if he had entered a terrifying battlefield and was facing the assault of a magnificent army. Meanwhile, he appeared extremely insignificant amidst the numerous warriors and champions, and it was possible that he could be killed by a single slash at any moment. He gritted his teeth and persevered. He kept fighting crazily, but the opponents were getting stronger and stronger. It made him feel a sense of despair. He was going to die here. How can I lose to that Shouho? Kill him. Su Xiaoqiang thought of the situation when Shouho got the broken staff and roared unwillingly. He didn't care that he was already covered in blood and forced out a unique death energy. When this energy was released, his whole body was inexplicably shaken. Blood spurted from his mouth, and his body fell heavily 7 or 8 meters away. Sure enough, he failed. He really overestimated himself. Someone sneered, "How can it be so easy to obtain the battle skill of the King of Death? Only when you reach the top general realm can you try to withstand that will of death," another person said. In their eyes, Su Xiaoqiang's failure was already set in stone. But in the next moment, an inexplicable aura suddenly rose from Su Xiaoqiang's body. He bounced up from the ground, pulled out the huge saber on his back, and slashed out a saber light that contained traces of the will of death. Wherever the saber light passed, not only did the ground crack, but even the weeds withered and the gravel decayed. A 10-meter-long crack appeared on the ground, which looked extremely terrifying. Fortunately, there was no one nearby. Otherwise, this saber strike would definitely cause casualties. If this saber strike was made by a martial artist in the general realm, no one would be surprised. However, it was made by a high-level warrior, which made it particularly terrifying. It should be known that high-level warriors could only release 10 feet of celestial chi at most. Only top-level warriors could release more than 10 feet of celestial chi. This saber strike that reached 10 feet was really terrifying. Everyone was frightened by this saber strike. At the same time, they also realized something, and their eyes were full of jealousy and envy. Someone had obtained the battle skill of the King of Death. Haha, I, Su Xiaoqiang, will be the next battle King of Death. Su Xiaoqiang ignored the injuries on his body and couldn't help but laugh. This guy is so lucky. Shouho couldn't help but exclaim softly. At this moment, an officer in thick and heavy armor walked towards Su Xiaoqiang and said faintly, "Young man, do you want to join our Tiger Warrior Battalion?" Chapter 81. Su Xiaoqiang became the center of attention because he had comprehended the death battle technique left behind by the Death Battle King. The mighty officer who walked out from the crowd was Jiang Gongxiang, the vice commander of the Battle Tiger Battalion, one of the most powerful battalions in the Barbarian Suppression Army. Jiang Gongxiang was a top-notch general and a top figure who had the potential to become a king within 10 years. If he was a few years younger, he might even be able to participate in the battle for the position of Young Marshal. Apart from Jiang Gongxiang, the vice commander of the Battle Dragon Battalion, Hong Yilong, also walked out and said, "Kid, come to our Battle Dragon Battalion. This commander will personally lead you to kill the enemy." These two battalions were the most powerful battalions, each with tens of thousands of soldiers and horses. Their combat strength was incomparably powerful. Those who were able to join these two battalions were all proud because these two battalions did not need any mediocre people. "This kid is a lucky bastard," the surrounding soldiers all exclaimed in their hearts. Everyone was a soldier, but there were different grades of soldiers. The lowest grade of soldiers belonged to the logisticians who could only work in the rear. The middle grade of soldiers belonged to those who could enter the battlefield and were considered the backbone of the battlefield, such as infantry and heavy armored soldiers. As for the cavalry that could travel thousands of miles to raid the battlefield, advancing and retreating at will, attacking and defending at will, They were the truly powerful soldiers, such as the Battle Dragon Battalion and the Battle Tiger Battalion. Every soldier hoped to be able to enter the battlefield and kill the enemy. They all hoped to join a powerful battle group. Not only did they take pride in their individual strength, but they also took pride in the strength of their battle group. Among the different types of soldiers, the cavalry would always be the most respected, the most popular, and the most meritorious. They also had the highest chances of promotion. It could be said that as long as Su Xiaoqiang agreed, he would become a member of these two strongest battalions. His future would be limitless. Su Xiaoqiang looked at the two vice commanders with extraordinary bearings and hesitated for a moment before saying, I'm already a member of the Death Legion. So what if you're a member of the Death Legion? As long as you agree, we can immediately help you complete the procedures and join my Battle Tiger Battalion. Jiang Gangxiang said domineeringly. Jiang Gangxiang, this is not how you snatch people. You have to ask my battling dragon camp first. Hong Yilong replied. He then looked at Su Xiaoqiang and smiled. Kid, join my battle dragon camp. My battle dragon camp is the first camp. We can provide you with the best armor, combat weapons, and even combat skills. Hong Yilong, you're too shameless. When has our Tiger War camp ever lost to your battle dragon camp? Whatever you can offer, our Tiger War camp can also offer, Jiang Gangxiang said angrily. Sirs, please don't argue. I won't join your battle camp. Su Xiaoqiang interrupted them. As soon as he finished speaking, he felt two strong oppressive auras rushing towards him, almost causing him to collapse on the spot. Since I've obtained the battle skill of the Death War King, then I should stay in the Death Army and become the next Death War King, Su Xiaoqiang said with the demeanor of an expert. In fact, his palms were already sweating. He was afraid that his words would directly anger these two lords. The two deputy commanders hesitated for a moment and did not force him. They left with a disappointed expression. As for the surrounding people, they also cast Su Xiaoqiang a look that said, You don't know how to appreciate favors. Of course, Su Xiaoqiang's name would also be noticed today. This was because he was the second person in 10 years to obtain the battle skill of the Death War King. However, after the crowd dispersed, Su Xiaoqiang looked at his palm and saw a faint black line. He smiled bitterly. Although he had obtained the battle skill of the Death War King, the price he had to pay was not something that others could imagine. He put away his palm and walked towards Yang Wu and Shou Ho. He looked at Shou Ho provocatively and said, See, I've already obtained the battle skill of the Death War King. It's much more useful than your broken staff. This was a blatant display of strength. Shou Ho snorted and replied indifferently. So what? Do you really think that you're invincible just because you've obtained a battle skill? Why don't we compete now? Shou Ho's confidence had risen since he obtained the broken staff. He was no longer as submissive as he was in the prison field. Let's compete then. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Su Xiaoqiang replied. You're both so powerful. Why don't you fight with me together first? Yang Wu rolled his eyes at them. This time, the two of them did not dare to speak. They had already seen how powerful Yang Wu was. Who would believe that Yang Wu was only an advanced warrior who could even kill an intermediate general? Some people would even believe that he was an advanced general. Both of them had gained something, but they could not be compared with Yang Wu. Perhaps one of them would dare to say that he was above Yang Wu after becoming a battle king. Yang Wu said in a deep voice, I still have to comprehend other battle skills. If you're bored, you can leave first. After saying that, he ignored the two of them and walked toward the second battle skill tablet. Shou Ho glared at Su Xiaoqiang and silently followed Yang Wu. Su Xiaoqiang did not follow because he had already been fawned upon and befriended by other people. He was already enjoying it and had a smug look on his face. The second battle skill tablet was engraved with 1-inch punch. This was a warrior-level battle skill. The incantation and person diagram were not displayed like the first tablet. Instead, the warrior had to sense it himself. If he could resonate with it, he would be able to cultivate this battle skill. Many soldiers came to the battle skill tablet and touched it. Then, they released the divine court realm and circulated the battle art to resonate with the fist technique. A warrior-level battle skill was not an advanced battle skill, but not everyone could obtain it. At least half of the soldiers present had not obtained a single battle skill. With my aptitude, I can't even obtain a warrior-level battle skill. That's impossible, a soldier said unwillingly after failing. Another person exclaimed, haha, that's great. I obtained the incantation and person diagram. The disparity between the two of them was huge. One was despised by others, while the other was envied by others. Even if it was a soldier-level combat skill, it was still a life-saving trump card for a soldier. Yang Wu and the skinny monkey-like figure squeezed to different positions and touched the battle skill steel. A strange power was transmitted to their palms, and they unconsciously released their divine court. The mystic arts in their bodies began to circulate, trying to see if they could resonate with the battle skill steel. When Yang Wu circulated the supreme 9 mystic formula, his divine court realm immediately felt a cooling sensation. Then, a passage of the incantation entered his mind. There were also people diagrams flashing, explaining the essence of each punch. Soon, Yang Wu's divine court record was imprinted with the incantation and person diagram of the 1-inch punch. The mystic chi in his body unconsciously flowed, emitting a unique aura. The surrounding people looked at him in astonishment. They could not help but sigh softly. This kid is quite lucky. He actually comprehended the incantation of the 1-inch punch so quickly. Some people could obtain the incantation of the 1-inch punch in 2 to 4 hours. Some people could only have such an opportunity after sitting for 2 to 3 days. There were not many people who could obtain the incantation as quickly as Yang Wu. As for Shou Ho, he did not cause any commotion. However, his eyes blinked with a red light, looking very strange. Soon, he saw everything on the battle skill tablet clearly. He did not miss anything. Looks like my strange eyes have quite a lot of benefits, Shou Ho said proudly in his heart. If others knew that he was born with strange eyes, who knew how many famous teachers and experts would fight to take him in as a disciple? People with such extraordinary talent were always favored by the heavens. Their path of cultivation would definitely be smooth sailing and extremely easy. After Yang Wu released the battle skill tablet, he glanced at Shou Ho and asked, "Did you gain anything?" Shou Ho nodded with a silly smile and said somewhat, "Then let's go to the next tablet." Yang Wu asked, "Big brother has the final say." Shou Ho nodded and said. The two of them continued to walk toward the 3rd battle skill tablet. A veteran said, "You two youngsters really think that the battle skill tablets are cabbages that you can pick up as you wish. Don't be too greedy." That's right. Other than the weapon fist that everyone can learn, very few people can obtain more than 2 of the other battle skills. Only those commanders or major generals have such talent. Another person said. Very obviously, they were warning Yang Wu and Shou Ho not to be greedy. That would be something that would return empty-handed. Yang Wu and Shou Ho both pretended not to hear them. They still squeezed onto the 3rd battle skill tablet and used the method just now to comprehend the battle skill tablet on this battle skill tablet. Shou Ho was just putting on an act. In reality, his eyes flashed red from time to time. He had already obtained the battle skill tablet's battle skill tablet. His heart was already blooming with joy. As for Yang Wu, he didn't have his ability. However, the supreme 9 mysteries formula was incomparably magical. As long as he circulated it, the battle skill tablet's battle skill tablet would resonate with him, causing the profound chi glow released from his body to appear exceptionally different. The person who had just spoken to Yang Wu and Shou Ho exclaimed as if he had seen a ghost when he saw this scene. Damn, he actually obtained another battle skill. Could it be that my eyes are playing tricks on me? This brat has gone to hell. This is the tyrannical, collapsing mountain palm. Its power is no small matter. Many people want to learn it, but can't. Another person said sourly, obtaining 2 battle skills in one day. Although the level isn't high, it's possible to at least have the position of 1,000 feet long in the future. Another person said enviously. However, what happened next made them even more dumbfounded. The youth who had obtained 2 battle skills didn't have any intention of leaving. He continued to lead his brothers towards the 4th battle skill tablet. Very quickly, the 4th battle skill tablet also resonated with this youth. This 12 wind-chasing swords battle skill was obtained by this youth. The youth didn't stop his steps, nor was he affected by the envious voices of others. He went to the 5th battle skill tablet and successfully obtained the 5th battle skill, Chaotic Horse Galloping Attack Saber. When the youth went to the 6th battle skill tablet, everyone was already so shocked that they didn't know what to do. When the 6th battle skill tablet's battle skill, Blazing Cross Spear, was successfully obtained by this youth, the scene was suddenly in an uproar. Chapter 82. 5 years ago, someone comprehended 6 battle skills in one go, and that person eventually became the young commander at that time. Unfortunately, when this young commander was about to break through to the king realm 2 years ago, he was ambushed by the barbarian king and died in the end. Otherwise, this young commander legend would still be alive today. Now, after 5 years, someone finally comprehended 6 battle skills at the same time. The speed was even faster than the previous young commander, and his future was limitless. For a moment, all the soldiers exclaimed one after another. It's only been 2 hours, and he actually comprehended 6 battle skills on the battle skill steals. This is definitely not real. This can't be fake, right? He resonated in front of every battle skill steal. It's really too heaven-defying. Who is this young man? He looks very unfamiliar, and he doesn't even have a decent set of battle armor. Could he be like the kid who just comprehended the battle skill of the Death Battle King and belonged to the Death Battle group? If that's really the case, then it's a pity. No matter how they guessed, it didn't stop someone from rushing in front of the youth and excitedly saying, "Little brother, are you willing to join my Boo Battalion? My Boo Battalion can immediately arrange a position for you as a centurion." The infantry battalion was the battalion with the largest number of people and was the backbone of the battalion. Although it couldn't compare to the Battle Dragon and Battle Tiger battalions, it won in terms of numbers. The unprepossessing man in front of him was a deputy commander of the infantry battalion, Gu Changzheng. He looked at Yang Wu as if he was looking at a stunning beauty and couldn't suppress the excitement in his heart. Without waiting for Yang Wu to reply, another tall and strong woman rushed out and said, "Our heavy battalion needs a genius like you to join. I can accept you as a personal deputy commander. In the future, when you surpass me, I can be your woman and give the position to you." This tall and strong woman was 6 feet tall, much taller than the average man. She was dressed in full armor and carried 2 axes on her back, looking incomparably valiant. Who said that women were inferior to men? This woman in front of him was much stronger than men. She was called Nan Runin, a deputy commander of the heavy battalion, and her combat strength was even stronger than Gu Changzheng. Just as they finished speaking, Hong Yilong from the Battle Dragon camp and Jiang Gongxiang from the Battle Tiger camp appeared once again. They had also joined the ranks of those competing for Yang Wu. Apart from that, some of the vice commanders of the Divine Bao unit and the Scout unit also asked for him. These deputy commanders usually came to the battle skill tablet when they had nothing to do. Their goal was to find new blood and recruit them into their battalions. Today, they really found an unpolished gem. "Little brother, how should I address you? I am Hong Yilong of the Battle Dragon camp. My Battle Dragon camp is the first camp and has the strongest combat strength. Only by joining my Battle Dragon camp will you be able to obtain a higher position. In the future, it won't be a problem for you to be conferred the title of Marquis. Bulsh * T, the 1st Battalion. Our Battle Tiger Battalion is the 1st Battalion. Not only do we have Tiger Riders, we also have high-level combat techniques. As long as you are willing, I can immediately make an exception and recruit you as a talent that will be heavily groomed. In the future, you will be able to compete for the position of Major General. As long as you don't die, you might even have the qualifications to become a Major General. Little brother, these 2 battalions are just saying nice things. Our Divine Bao unit is the best in archery. With your comprehension, as long as you comprehend our Divine Bao unit's #1 archery technique, you will be unparalleled in the world. Our Scout unit is the best in concealment technique. Little brother, if you join us, we can make you the #1 untraceable scout. It will be easy for you to make a name for yourself." The various vice commanders were all praising their respective battalions. It was like they were competing to buy vegetables in a market. They were so enthusiastic that it almost scared people away. Su Xiaoqiang, who was surrounded and greeted with enthusiasm, was instantly left out. He looked at Yang Wu, who was surrounded, and felt a little uncomfortable. He said, "Can't this guy keep a low profile and let me be in the limelight first?" In fact, no one knew that other than Yang Wu, there was another youth who had also obtained 6 battle techniques on the battle technique steel. However, this youth was very low-key, only looking at Yang Wu being surrounded and laughing foolishly. This youth was Shouho. Shouho was different from Yang Wu. He did not rely on comprehension to obtain the battle techniques, but instead used his other pupil to obtain them. However, no matter what method he used, as long as the results were the same, it was fine. Yang Wu faced these people, his face without the slightest ripple. He only cupped his hands and said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, "Many thanks for everyone's praise. I'm just a newly arrived prison slave soldier. I have been sent to the Death Legion, so I am unable to follow everyone's wishes." "What? You're actually a prison slave soldier?" Jiang Gongxiang of the Battle Tiger unit cried out in surprise. "It's absolutely true." Yang Wu nodded in response. "That would be for the best. I will give you enough military merit to immediately rid you of your status as a prison slave soldier and join our Battle Dragon unit." Han Yilong was the most direct to say. In the end, the others all said the same thing at once, all expressing their willingness to help Yang Wu settle any future worries. Yang Wu also did not expect such a situation. He only wanted to comprehend more battle techniques in case of emergency. Now that there was a great opportunity to rid himself of his status as a prison slave, he was truly moved. However, he quickly remembered Sun Rui's words. His goal was the same as Su Xiaoqiang's, and only the Death Battle King could satisfy his wish. This was because he did not only want to rid himself of his status as a prison slave, but also wanted to restore their Yang clan's prestige and make even kings bow down to him. Yang Wu calmed down and said to everyone, "Many thanks for everyone's favor. I would like to try the last battle skill tablet." At this time, Nan Runin said in a low voice, "That is the battle skill tablet left behind by the Death Battle King. There's a brand of death on it. Even if you obtain his battle technique, there is no way to rid yourself of the brand of death. In the end, only death awaits you. With your talent, there is no need to take this risk. If you really want a king's technique, as long as you become a major general, there will be plenty of opportunities." Nan Runin's explanation of the battle skill tablet, left behind by the Death Battle King, caused the soldiers present to come to a sudden realization. Su Xiaoqiang looked at the black strands on his palm again and clenched his fist tightly. "Brand of death? I will definitely be able to rid myself of it." "That's right, there are some things that you can't force," Jiang Gongxiang said from the side. Ge Changzheng also said, "Little brother's talent is outstanding. In the future, you will definitely have the opportunity to become a king. Why do you need this death battle skill?" Yang Wu smiled faintly and said, "Since everyone says that my talent is outstanding, it shouldn't be too difficult to comprehend this death battle skill." After he finished speaking, he no longer paid attention to the crowd and headed towards the 7th battle skill tablet. At this moment, Yang Wu and the others were destined to rise overnight for the sake of a new star in front of the battle skill tablet. So far, only 2 people had comprehended the battle skill tablet left behind by the Death Battle King. One was the Rose of Death, the current king of the Death Army. Her combat strength was ranked in the top 5 of all the generals. The second person was Su Xiaoqiang. With the strength of a senior warrior, he could slash out a death attack of 5 zhong. It was truly terrifying. Could Yang Wu challenge the third person? Yang Wu didn't intend to steal Su Xiaoqiang's limelight. He only wanted to grasp more and become stronger. Everything was for his own sake. It would be funny if he died young. Someone couldn't help but sigh. Among the crowd, there were many people who were jealous of Yang Wu's talent. When they saw him walk towards the 7th battle skill tablet, they naturally hoped that he would stop before the 7th battle skill tablet. If he could comprehend both the battle skill tablet and the battle skill tablet, then he would create history as the #1 in the army. It would make them feel even more unbalanced. Many of the commanders present wanted to see if this prisoned slave soldier's talent was truly outstanding. If that was the case, then they would pull him into their camp no matter what. In a few years, he would definitely become a major general or even a strong contender for the position of future marshal. Yang Wu arrived in front of the 7th battle skill tablet. After taking a deep breath, he placed one hand on the tablet. Everyone held their breaths and quietly stared at the young man's figure. In an instant, Yang Wu felt an austere, killing intent in the divine court. It was as if he was in the middle of a battlefield with thousands of soldiers and horses. The swords and spears were merciless, and the murderous intent was incomparably terrifying. Every moment, there were people who were killed or seriously injured. Blood flowed into a river. It was an extremely terrifying scene. He was surrounded by countless enemies and was in a desperate situation. He held the battle weapon in his hand, and the blood in his body boiled to the extreme. Dense battle intent soared into the sky as he held the battle weapon and killed crazily on the battlefield. Kill! 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 He didn't know how many times he had swung the battle weapon in his hand, nor did he know how many people he had killed. At the same time, he felt that he had suffered countless serious injuries. His body was already on the verge of collapse, and he could fall into a pool of blood at any time. He felt the feeling of death. It was a kind of extreme pain. His blood flowed until it dried up, and even breathing became extremely difficult. It was as if he could already feel the black and white impermanence coming to steal his soul. Am I going to die here? He asked himself. In his mind, he thought of a situation where he was wrongfully imprisoned. He thought of his parents being removed from house arrest, and his younger brother giving up his official robe as the top scholar. In an instant, his heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. He didn't want to die yet. He still wanted revenge. Die! He roared, and the battle skill in his hand exerted an extreme attack power. There was an abnormal power on his body, allowing him to erupt with extraordinary power. Dozens of enemies around him were blasted into powder in the blink of an eye. The scene of the divine court burst open, and the divine sense returned to nature. Yang Wu was already surrounded by qi, and there was an additional mark on the ground that was longer than the one made by Su Xiaoqiang. The people around him were shocked and exclaimed, Did he really comprehend the battle skill left by the Battle King of Death? How is this possible? Genius. He's really a genius among geniuses. He has comprehended all the battle skill steals battle skills. In time, he will become a great person. Maybe he will be the next Battle King of Death. He looks like he's only 16 or 17 years old. He's still young. As long as he's properly trained, he will definitely be a major general or even a candidate for a young marshal. A genius who has comprehended the battle skill of the Battle King of Death twice in a day. It's really amazing. I wonder if he will leave the Death Legion. Chapter 83. Yang Wu stared blankly at the damage he had caused. His face was full of shock. It was true that his strength was comparable to that of a general realm cultivator, but he could at most blast out 50 to 60 feet of profound energy. Shockingly, the traces of profound energy in his body had already doubled, surpassing his original attack range. Moreover, much of the profound energy in his body had also been sucked away. At the same time, a wisp of the will of death had entered his body, and it began to erase his life force. At the same time, it also stimulated his divine court and imbued it with the mark of death. What was left on this deal of combat skills was not a combat skill, but a wisp of the will of death comprehended by the War King of Death. This will of death was different from the essence of transcendence. The former was superior to the latter because it was a kind of martial will. Among the 3,000 martial Daos, there was the way of death, the way of longevity, the way of fire, the way of metal, and the way of earth escape. Each way represented a different way of martial arts. But no matter which way it was, they would all return to the same place. They all pursued the extreme of martial arts. Among the 3,000 great ways, the way of death was ranked very high. Once a person completely comprehended it, his combat strength would be extraordinary. However, if he could not comprehend it, he would die quickly. Right now, The will of death in Yang Wu's body was beginning to erase his vitality. If he couldn't completely comprehend the way of death or force the wisp of will of death out of his body before the will of death obliterated his vitality, he would definitely die young. In this regard, he had the same experience as Su Xiaoqiang. Most people here did not know. They all thought that this was a combat skill left by the War King of Death, and they did not know how terrifying the way of death was. Before this wisp of will of death caused too much damage to Yang Wu, the supreme 9 mysteries formula was activated. The 1,000 holes in the peach core Dantian produced a great suction force and swallowed this wisp of will of death, so that it could not cause too much damage to Yang Wu. When this wisp of will of death was swallowed, Yang Wu could feel the will of death more clearly in his divine court. Unfortunately, this was only a wisp of will of death, and he did not have a deep understanding of it. It could even be said that he only scratched the surface. Otherwise, he would be able to completely absorb the way of death. Of course, Yang Wu was not aware of the changes in his body. He only felt that his body was much more comfortable. That was all. Battle Dragon Battalions Hong Yilong, Battle Tiger Battalions Jiang Gongxiang, Heavy Armor Battalions Nan Runan, Infantry Battalions Gu Changzheng, and several other deputy commanders of the various battalions surrounded Yang Wu, who was still in a daze. They looked at him like he was a stunning beauty and wished they could immediately carry him home. Yang Wu came back to his senses and looked at the commanders who had already surrounded him. He wrapped his arms around his chest and said weakly, "Sirs, what do you want to do? I won't obey you even if you beat me to death. This brat belongs to whoever snatches him away." No one knew who was the first to shout, but several deputy commanders immediately rushed towards Yang Wu to capture him. "Brat, come to my battling dragon camp. He belongs to my War Tiger Battalion. My Heavy Armor Battalion is short of manpower." The several deputy commanders were all high-level generals, and each of them had extraordinary strength. They simultaneously attacked as fast as lightning. Some grabbed Yang Wu's shoulders, while others grabbed Yang Wu's waist, abdomen, and even his thighs. They wanted to take him away as soon as possible. Fortunately, these people knew their limits and did not use their internal force to pull him away. Otherwise, Yang Wu would have been torn into pieces. Apart from that, they were also attacking each other, forcing others to let go of their weapons. The surrounding people were completely dumbfounded. Who would have thought that these high and mighty deputy commanders would actually fight here just to fight over a genius? When Su Xiaoqiang saw this scene, the little bit of dissatisfaction in his heart instantly turned into a thick sense of jealousy. He thought unwillingly in his heart, "Eldest Miss likes him, and now even these commanders are fighting to recruit him. Isn't he just a little stronger than me? Could it be that my talent is inferior to a low-level prison slave like him? Humph! One day I will let everyone know that you are all blind." Su Xiaoqiang did not stay here any longer and quietly left alone. Shouho had been paying attention to Yang Wu, but when Su Xiaoqiang left, the corner of his eye twitched. He turned his head and saw Su Xiaoqiang's departing figure. An inexplicable feeling rose in his heart, and he felt a little uncomfortable. Yang Wu was extremely depressed. He was being pulled by these deputy commanders, and the power of their attacks constantly streaked in front of him, making him tremble in fear. Although his combat strength was not bad, in front of so many high-level generals, it was still not enough. Fortunately, they all knew their limits and did not hurt Yang Wu in the slightest. Yang Wu did not want to sit and wait for death. Just as he was thinking of a way to break away from these people, a voice came from not far away. "What's so lively about? Tell me." This voice was extremely loud and resounded in the ears of the deputy commanders. It was like a sudden clap of thunder, causing them to stop what they were doing. A majestic, middle-aged man in heavy armor appeared. He was wearing a cloak and had his hands behind his back. He looked majestic and awe-inspiring. Beside him were 2 guards with cold expressions. The aura that emanated from their bodies was not inferior to any of the deputy commanders present. In fact, it was even more powerful. "Greetings, General Sima." Everyone knelt down and cried out in surprise. Sima Nadu was the infantry battalion's general, and was one of the deputy commanders of the entire army. In terms of combat strength, he was not the most outstanding, but in terms of military achievements, he was not inferior to anyone. He had been at the border for a full 30 years, climbing step by step from a small soldier to his current position of deputy commander. It was not easy, and his prestige in the army was not to be underestimated. "Get up, tell me what you guys are doing here." Sima Natu smiled amiably. As the deputy commander of the infantry battalion, Gu Changzheng rushed out and said, "General, this little brother has comprehended 7 battle skills from the battle skill tablets in less than 4 hours. This subordinate feels that his talent is outstanding and is suitable for our infantry battalion. So, I want to pull him into our infantry battalion. Now that the general is here, I would like to be bold and ask the general to bestow the position of lieutenant to this little brother, to show our sincerity and let him join our infantry battalion." This time, the expressions of the other deputy commanders did not look good. They also wished that their general was here, otherwise they would not be able to compete with the infantry battalion. "Oh, there's such a genius," Sima Natu said in surprise. Then his gaze locked onto Yang Wu and asked, "You really comprehended 7 battle skills from the battle skill tablets?" Yang Wu nodded lightly and said, "Yes, General." "Are you sure? If you lie to this general, you will be beheaded." Sima Natu asked seriously again. Yang Wu said seriously, "Yang Wu does not dare lie to general." "Very good. From now on you are a member of our infantry battalion. Come with me," Sima Natu said with a faint smile. His words were spoken calmly, but his tone was filled with a commanding tone that left no room for refusal. The other deputy commanders did not dare to make a sound. It could be said that a higher rank could suppress people to death. They only hoped that this youth would stand firm and choose them. Yang Wu bowed to Sima Natu and said, "Many thanks for General's praise, but I am only a prison slave soldier and was just sent to the Death Legion. I'm afraid I cannot follow, sir." Yang Wu's words left some leeway. If Sima Natu could solve the problem of his Death Legion, as well as the problem of his military status, perhaps he could really consider joining the infantry battalion. It was not that Yang Wu was afraid of death, but to be able to stand at a better starting point, it would be greatly beneficial for him to revive the Yang family. "This is a small problem. Commander Gu can solve it for you," Sima Natu said calmly. Normal prison slave soldiers only needed to atone for their crimes, and their original crimes would not be a problem. Right at this moment, a cold voice rang out, "Commander Gu really can't solve this problem." Everyone looked towards the source of the voice and saw a cold-looking general slowly walking over from not far away. He was the cold-faced adjutant of the Death Legion. "Oh, your Death Legion is not willing to let him go." Sima Natu looked at the cold-faced adjutant and asked, "It's not that we are not willing, but that we cannot." The cold-faced adjutant faced Sima Natu, who was 1 rank higher than him, and still had a cold expression as he replied, "Since the cold-faced adjutant says that we cannot, then my infantry battalion will not force it." "What a pity." Sima Natu glanced at Yang Wu and then left with his people, not saying another word. Gu Changzheng had a pained expression as he unwillingly chased after them. He did not understand how this cold-faced adjutant could scare their general away. The other commanders knew that the cold-faced adjutant was not easy to talk to, so they were embarrassed to say anything. After glancing at Yang Wu, they returned to their battalion headquarters to find a way to figure out Yang Wu's origins, and then let the higher-ups decide whether to snatch him or not. The cold-faced adjutant looked at the calm Yang Wu and asked, "You are not disappointed?" "There is nothing to be disappointed about." Yang Wu shook his head and said, "That's good." The cold-faced adjutant nodded and replied. After pausing for a moment, he added, "The higher-ups ordered that you have to cut off 500 heads to get rid of your prison slave status. You are on your own." The cold-faced adjutant's voice was not loud, but the people around could hear it clearly. Their expressions instantly changed. Initially, they wanted to stutter to Yang Wu later, but the cold-faced adjutant's words were too frightening. Everyone knew that as long as a prison slave killed 100 barbarians, they would be able to get rid of their prison slave status and leave the military camp at any time. Now that the number had increased by 5 times, it was obvious that they were trying to get Yang Wu killed. Looks like the person this kid offended has a terrifying background. What a pity. I still want to get acquainted with this kid. When he becomes a major general or a future commander in the future, I'll be able to gain some face. Looks like I can save that effort now. He is a genius who has comprehended 7 combat skill steals. As long as he is properly groomed, his future will be limitless. What a pity. Since he is so talented, what's the big deal about killing 500 barbarians? Who knows? He might even become the next king of death. I still think highly of him, but it's better to stay away from him for now. Chapter 84. The soldiers who had surrounded Yang Wu earlier whispered to each other before dispersing and continuing to comprehend the combat skills tablet. They were no longer envious or jealous of Yang Wu's outstanding talent. This was because no matter how outstanding Yang Wu was, he might still die young. If they got along with him, they might even be implicated. A bunch of snobs. Skinny Monkey walked up to the lonely Yang Wu and looked at the others in disdain. Yang Wu shook his head and said bitterly, "It's normal for them to have such a reaction. Who would want to provoke a jinx like me?" He paused for a moment before continuing, "But I'll let them know sooner or later that 500 barbarians are nothing to me." After saying that, the hidden hatred in his eyes deepened. He swore in his heart, "You guys want me to die, but I'm going to live on. Sooner or later, I'll make you guys pay the price in blood." Yang Wu and Skinny Monkey left the combat skills tablet together. At the same time, Yang Wu asked about Su Xiaoqiang's whereabouts. Skinny Monkey told Yang Wu that Su Xiaoqiang had already left. Yang Wu did not think too much about it. He really did not expect that Su Xiaoqiang would bear a grudge against him after he made a name for himself. Yang Wu and Skinny Monkey returned to the Death Legion's encampment. This legion had the least military discipline and did not have any tents to rest in. They used the sky as their blanket and the ground as their bed. This was a true legion that cultivated diligently. Yang Wu and Skinny Monkey did not mind. They had stayed in an environment like the prison slaves before. At least there were trees to shelter them from the wind and rain in this encampment. It was enough. In addition, they were already true martial artists. Meditating and cultivating diligently every night was better than sleeping. Yang Wu got Little Hay to hunt again while he and Skinny Monkey prepared to digest the combat skills they had obtained today. The two of them did not separate. Instead, they began to discuss and communicate with each other. They started with the scimitar kick. Yang Wu already had some understanding of this footwork technique, so he could become more proficient with it if he put in more effort. Yang Wu's strength was much stronger than the Skinny Monkey's, but as the Skinny Monkey gradually entered the realm of cultivation, his ability to discover problems was very strong. When he made a lot of moves, even Yang Wu lamented that the Skinny Monkey's comprehension ability was very fast. There were even some moves that he didn't expect, which allowed him to gain a lot. Skinny Monkey's gains were even greater. Yang Wu's understanding of martial arts before him. Yang Wu's understanding of martial Dao. Yang Wu. After Little Hay returned from hunting, it spat out another bird that it had killed. Yang Wu did not know how it did it. He felt that Little Hay was becoming more and more mysterious and powerful. Little Hay roasted the bird. Yang Wu wanted to call Su Xiaoqiang over to eat together, but he realized that Su Xiaoqiang was nowhere to be found. He tore off a roasted leg and offered it to Li Dazue. Li Dazue had always been unapproachable, but Yang Wu did not care at all. He felt that this man-eating fellow was not as scary as he had imagined. At most, it was a little disgusting. Yang Wu waved the roasted meat in his hand and said to Li Dazue, who was lying in the grass, "Boss, I'll treat you to some meat." There were human limbs all around Li Dazue. There was also a fishy smell. It was really hard to stay there. Li Dazue opened his eyes instantly and said happily, "Where's the meat? I want to eat meat." Li Dazue bounced up from the ground and snatched the meat from Yang Wu's hand. He first sniffed it, then looked at Yang Wu and said, "This meat smells really good." Then he turned his head and wolfed down the meat in his hand. "Boss, eat slowly. If it's not enough, I have more," Yang Wu said sincerely. Li Dazue nodded as he ate. It's enough. Then I'll go back. Call me if there's a mission, Yang Wu said and turned to leave. Yang Wu did not know that after he walked away, Li Dezue finished eating the meat and looked at his back. There was a faint trace of tears in his eyes. It had been a long time since someone treated him to roast meat like this. Last time, his best friend who treated him to roast meat died in the hands of the barbarians in order to save him. He was even eaten alive by the barbarians. From then on, he swore to eat the barbarians' meat raw to avenge his friend. Therefore, he became a pervert who loved to eat human flesh. From then on, no one was friends with him, let alone treat him to roast meat, and no one dared to get close to him. On this day, there was finally a kid who treated him to barbecue. He didn't know why, but his numb heart suddenly felt touched. For 2 consecutive days, Yang Wu and the skinny monkey cultivated together. They meditated at night and practiced martial arts during the day. Their progress could be said to be rapid. Yang Wu had already opened a total of 165 acupoints. He was not far from the 200 acupoints of top warrior. The energy accumulated in his dantian became more and more majestic. Under the operation of the 12 standard meridians and the run and do meridians, it was like a river that rippled endlessly every day. His mental state was excellent. There was a wisp of the will of death in his divine court, which boosted his divine court's sensing ability. In addition, he had already cultivated Scud Kick to the microscopic stage. There was also 1-inch punch and mountain-shattering palm. He had a preliminary grasp of the incantation and the way to use the fist and palm. As for the other combat skills, he did not cultivate them. Firstly, it was a matter of time. Secondly, it was not good to bite off more than one could chew. It was better to master them one by one. The skinny monkey's progress was rapid. The speed at which he mastered martial arts was not much slower than Yang Wu's. He was becoming more and more like a martial artist. As for Su Xiaoqiang, he began to drift away from them. It was as if there was an invisible barrier that made it impossible for them to stay together. At the same time, some people from other battalions came to look for Su Xiaoqiang. They expressed that they wanted to take Su Xiaoqiang away from the Death Legion. On the 3rd day, Su Xiaoqiang took the initiative to bring 2 people to look for Yang Wu and the skinny monkey. The 2 people beside Su Xiaoqiang were dressed in armor. Each of them held a combat weapon. Their bodies exuded a thick aura of hostility. With one look, it was obvious that they were veterans who had been on the battlefield. They were like Su Xiaoqiang's followers. They walked behind Su Xiaoqiang, as if Su Xiaoqiang was their leader. Su Xiaoqiang raised his head slightly and looked at Yang Wu and the skinny monkey. He said, "I will not stay in the Death Legion. I have joined the Battle Tiger Battalion. In the future, if you have any problems, you can report to the Battle Tiger Battalion. For the sake of the young miss, there are some small matters that I can settle for you." Right now, Su Xiaoqiang was acting like a superior person. His attitude and appearance really made people a little unhappy. The skinny monkey and Su Xiaoqiang didn't see eye to eye. Seeing him like this, the skinny monkey couldn't help but mock. "Yo, who are you trying to show off to after changing camps?" Su Xiaoqiang chuckled and said, "In the past, you were prison slaves and I was a prison guard. Now, I'm a regular soldier. We are originally from different worlds. If it wasn't for the sake of the young miss, I wouldn't have bothered with you. Now that I have joined the Battle Tiger Battalion, it won't be long before I become a commander. I originally wanted to take care of you guys, but it seems like you don't need it." After saying this, Su Xiaoqiang looked at the expressionless Yang Wu. He felt a little depressed. He felt that Yang Wu should be fawning over him. He thought to himself, "Keep pretending. You guys will come begging me one day." Just as he was about to turn around, Yang Wu opened his mouth and said, "Su Xiaoqiang, take care. If you have the chance to see Sister Lan Xian, remember to send my regards to her. Tell them not to worry. I and the skinny monkey are doing quite well. Who do you think you are? How dare you treat the young miss as your sister?" Su Xiaoqiang couldn't hold back the sullenness in his heart as he roared at Yang Wu. The skinny monkey immediately rushed forward and shouted, "Su Xiaoqiang, who do you think you are? How dare you scold my big brother?" The 2 soldiers behind Su Xiaoqiang took a step forward and glared at the skinny monkey. It seemed that as long as Su Xiaoqiang gave the order, they would teach the skinny monkey a lesson. Su Xiaoqiang raised his hand to stop them. Then he said disdainfully, "Remember your identity. Prison slave soldiers." The skinny monkey wanted to attack Su Xiaoqiang, but Yang Wu pulled him back. Then he said to Su Xiaoqiang, "Yes, we are prison slave soldiers. You're a regular soldier. Hurry up and scram." After a pause, he added, "Oh right, it's best if we don't meet again in the future, so as not to dirty your noble dog eyes." "Yang Wu, are you trying to shed all pretense of cordiality with me?" Su Xiaoqiang said with a frown. "You still have the face to do that. This Viscount can't see it." Yang Wu rushed a look at Su Xiaoqiang and said, "Good, very good." Su Xiaoqiang's eyes were about to burst into flames. He clenched his fists and really wanted to fight to the death with Yang Wu. But when he thought of Yang Wu's strength, he suppressed the impulse in his heart and said, "One day you will regret it." After saying that, he no longer paid attention to Yang Wu and the skinny monkey. He turned around and left with the two soldiers. When they were far away, the skinny monkey couldn't help but curse. "I knew this kid wasn't a good person." Now, he finally showed his true colors. Yang Wu shook his head and said, "People who walk different paths can't make plans together. Let him be. Yes, I originally thought this kid wasn't bad. Unfortunately, I misjudged him," the skinny monkey said regretfully. During this period of time, although he and Su Xiaoqiang didn't see eye to eye, he had already treated him as a friend in his heart. Now it seemed like it was his wishful thinking. From the bottom of his heart, Su Xiaoqiang couldn't see that they were criminals, even if they were wrongly imprisoned. Yang Wu patted the skinny monkey's shoulder and said, "People are all so realistic and snobbish. Don't worry about him. When our strength improves and we make contributions, no one will be able to stop us. One day, we will make the nobles do things according to our wishes." At this moment, he seemed to have regained his identity as a Viscount. That confident style was fascinating. The skinny monkey was infected. He clenched his fists and said with a firm expression, "Big brother is right. We can definitely do it." On this day, Li Dazue received an order to hunt down a group of barbarians that went deep into the battlefield. Li Dazue didn't say anything and led Yang Wu and the skinny monkey to hunt the barbarians. But they didn't know that this was a trap to kill with a borrowed knife. Chapter 85. The battlefield passageway was the place where the battles between the barbarians and the two major powers of Grancia were the most frequent. Whoever passed through the passageway to attack the other side, it signified the start of a true war. During these years, the most famous war was the one where the Death War King was conferred the title of Marquis 10 years ago. War of Death. Back then, the Death War King comprehended the Tao of Death and became a Marquis in one fell swoop. He killed many barbarians, including the princes of the barbarian race, thoroughly enraging the barbarian army. The barbarian army brought along 100,000 soldiers and a group of beasts, wanting to flatten the barbarian army. In that war, Grancia suffered heavy casualties. The entire barbarian army was almost flattened. If it wasn't for the Death War King's decisive attack, Grancia would have lost for sure. In the end, Grancia barely won, but that was a Pyrrhic victory. During these 10 years, the friction between the two sides was unceasing. However, it was only limited to small-scale battles, never involving more than 10,000 people. This was because both sides were recuperating, waiting for a decisive character to appear. Only then would the war truly erupt. In these small-scale battles, Grancia had always been the one who lost more than they won. If it wasn't for their advantage in numbers, Grancia would have almost no chance of winning. The barbarians were a race born for combat. They had boundless strength and astonishing defense. Usually, they could fight one against two or even three against the human soldiers of Grancia at the same level. And because of this, Grancia was incomparably fearful of the barbarians. They were afraid that the barbarians would cross over and threaten their status. This time, there were powerful barbarian tribe members who had quietly arrived at the battlefield's passage. They were riding on their mammoths. Every time the mammoths took a step, it was as if the earth was shaking and the mountains were shaking. The barbarian tribe members who were sitting on their backs were, as steady as a rock. They were not affected by the bumps at all. These tens of riders were clad in the unique attire of the barbarian race. They had feathered headbands, ivory necklaces, runic inscriptions on their faces, and different types of weapons on their backs. Their tall and muscular physiques were extremely imposing. The barbarians were a race that revered martial prowess. They were also part of the human race, just that they belonged to the human race with extraordinary talent in combat. They had always looked down on the weak and frail citizens of Grand Xia. Hence, the conflict between the two countries was the root of their bloodline. Among these tens of riders, the leaders were a middle-aged barbarian, an old barbarian, and a young girl. The rest of the riders were followers. The middle-aged barbarian was much taller and stronger than an ordinary barbarian. He had a pair of sharp eyes that gave off a dignified aura. The aura he was exuding was not something an ordinary warrior could compare with. He was definitely a barbarian king. The old barbarian seemed to be in his 70s or 80s. The wrinkles on his face were as rough as tree bark. There were even some age spots on his face. However, his body was not stooped and was still very straight. His old eyes flashed from time to time. He held an ancient millstone in his hand, as if he was looking for something. As for the young girl, she was incomparably sexy. Apart from having a beautiful face, her figure was without a doubt. Her exposed shoulders were even smoother than ivory, and her ample breasts swelled up the bee-skin clothing to the point it was about to burst. Her slender waist was like a swaying willow, and her pair of springy calves were filled with moving seduction from time to time. If Yang Wu was here, he would be incomparably surprised. This young girl was actually 70 to 80% similar to little man, 8th grandpa. Is your old calculation accurate? We're almost at the border of Grand Xia. The young girl impatiently grumbled. Princess Ayu, don't rush your 8th grandpa. When has he ever miscalculated? The middle-aged barbarian looked at the young girl and smiled faintly. He has miscalculated. He said that my future husband is not the strongest warrior of my tribe. The young girl called Ayu replied softly. Haha, little Ayu, are you still holding a grudge against your 8th grandpa for telling your marriage fortune? The 8th grandpa stroked his long beard and smiled. He paused for a moment and said, Little Ayu, marriage is decided by the heavens. It cannot be forced. Even if your husband is not the strongest warrior of my tribe, it does not mean that he is weak. Maybe he is even stronger than the strongest warrior of my tribe. Then I will wait and see if it is really as 8th grandpa said. Ayu replied. Then she said, 8th grandpa, is my sister really in the Grand Xia? The 8th grandpa narrowed his eyes as he replied, that should be it. All these years, I've always thought that the princess had passed away at a young age. But some time ago, there was a strange movement in the clan altar which clearly indicated that someone in the younger generation of our clan had awakened the most primordial bloodline. That is the true body of the ancestors' bloodline. I've observed the bloodline of all the youths in our clan, even the newborns, but I couldn't find the corresponding bloodline shown by the clan altar. It was only until you came to propose marriage that I recalled that there was still a 16-year-old princess in our clan. That is, your twin sister might still be alive. Hence, I borrowed your blood essence and used the elephant bone plate to calculate that the missing princess is in the direction of Grand Xia. The elephant bone plate was made from the bones of a top-grade elephant king. It was then formed by various divination masters, the ancient 8 trigrams, the 24 heavenly scriptures, and the 48 geographical chi. It could be used to predict omens, determine marriages, find dragons, fix veins, and so on. This old man from the barbarian tribe called 8th Grandpa was the barbarian tribe's chief divination master, Huangfu Taigeng. He had an extremely high prestige in the barbarian tribe and was known as accurate predictions. The middle-aged barbarian was Shi Shafeng, the barbarian tribe's mighty general. He was the barbarian tribe's youngest and strongest warrior 20 years ago. He was also one of the 10 kings of the barbarian tribe who seized the position of marquis. To be able to stand side by side with these two, Princess Yu was naturally the barbarian tribe's current little princess, Huangfu Mingyu, also known as Princess Mingyu. In the barbarian tribe, everyone knew of Princess Mingyu. However, They did not know that there was another Princess Mingzhu, who was Princess Mingyu's twin sister. Back then, the barbarian queen gave birth to twin sisters at the same time. This pair of sisters did not even spend 100 days together before a masked expert rushed into the barbarian tribe and separated this pair of sisters. If the number one expert of the barbarian tribe had not arrived in time at that time, this pair of sisters would have been taken away. This disaster of the barbarian tribe was kept a secret for more than 10 years. Not many people knew about it. Only the barbarian tribe's royal family knew a thing or two. In these past years, the barbarian tribe's royal family had long thought that Princess Mingzhu was dead. Outsiders only knew of Princess Mingyu. Who would have thought that half a month ago, a strange phenomenon occurred in the barbarian tribe's tribal altar, which alarmed the unpredictable 8th master to come out of his closed-door training. Behind these three people was the barbarian tribe's most powerful barbarian elephant army. Their offensive and defensive capabilities were top-notch. This army was able to contend against the Great Xia dynasty's War Dragon and War Tiger battalions at the same time. They even had a slight advantage. The dozens of riders in front of them were all top-notch warriors. Each of them could fight against 100 people. If they did not have this kind of ability, how could they serve as the bodyguards of the three people in front of them? As they got closer and closer to the Great Xia dynasty's border, their whereabouts were already exposed. However, they did not care. They were confident that even if the Great Xia dynasty's army was mobilized, they would still have the confidence to escape back to their own camp. At the same time, Li Dazhe, Yang Wu, and Shouhou had already entered the battlefield channel. They had received orders to kill this team of barbarians in front of them. Li Dazhe, Yang Wu, and Shouhou did not know how powerful this team was. In their eyes, there was only the mission and the completion of the mission. Li Dazue seemed to be a fool, but he was not. He was able to survive until now on the battlefield not only because of his high-level general-level strength, but also because of his vigilance. When his superiors suddenly assigned him a mission and asked him to bring Yang Wu and Shouhou along, he realized that this mission was not simple. Therefore, he was not as impulsive as he was when he first brought Yang Wu and Shouhou to kill the barbarians. Instead, he moved forward carefully and spread out his divine sense to hide. He wanted to figure out the situation of the other party's troops before waiting for an opportunity to act. Although they were careful and cautious enough, there was a barbarian king among the other party. How could their auras escape the other party's senses? When they were 5 kilometers away from the team of barbarians, Shi Shafeng had already sensed their whereabouts. When they were 5 kilometers away from him, Shi Shafeng ordered 2 barbarian generals to deal with Li Dazue, Yang Wu, and Shouhou. Huang Fu Taiging looked at the elephant bone plate in his hand. His old eyes flashed with a bright light. After pinching his fingers a few times, he said faintly, "Send 2 more people to capture the 3 people in front alive." Immediately, 2 barbarian generals jumped off the giant elephant and nodded deeply. Then, like ghosts, they leaped and dashed toward Li Dazue, Yang Wu, and Shouhou who were hiding. There were 4 barbarian generals in front and behind. Each of them had the strength of a champion. It was a piece of cake for them to deal with a human general and 2 warriors. Yang Wu's senses were extremely sensitive. When the 4 barbarian generals rushed over, he said to Li Dazue, "Barbarians are coming." Li Dazue grinned and said, "They're all my meat." Li Dazue increased his speed. Yang Wu and Shouhou had no choice but to keep up. They quickly ran into the 2 barbarian generals who had arrived first. The 2 barbarian generals didn't say anything. They took the initiative to attack Li Dazue, who was charging over first. One of the barbarian generals punched out with a fist that carried the power to destroy rocks and split mountains, heading straight for Li Dazue's face. Li Dazue's movements were light and graceful. He passed by the barbarian generals and used the heart-ripping hand to grab the barbarian general's heart. He wanted to shatter the barbarian general's breastplate and kill them in one fell swoop. The other barbarian generals ran toward Yang Wu and Shouhou. His 2 palms were like fans and carried dense mystical aura as he attacked the 2. "Shouhou, step back," Yang Wu said to Shouhou. At the same time, He struck out with both palms to resist the barbarian general's strength. Bang bang. The two palms crossed, and a mystical aura collided. Immediately, a dull sound rang out. Yang Wu and the barbarian generals were one large realm apart and two small realms apart. He forcefully blocked the two palms and didn't retreat a single step. This caused the barbarian generals to be extremely astonished. He's only at the warrior level, but he can actually block the power of my palms. This child can't be left alive. Just as the barbarian generals were about to summon all of their battle strength, Yang Wu's strength suddenly increased. He moved even faster than the barbarian generals. His palms, which contained a spiral force, rushed to the barbarian general's chest with an unstoppable force. The barbarian generals didn't have time to counterattack. Relying on the power of these two palms, they directly shattered his mystic armor. The power directly crushed his chest. Even in death, he couldn't understand when such a powerful warrior genius had appeared in the Great Xia dynasty. Chapter 86. Yang Wu's strength had been rapidly increasing, and so did his combat strength. He had even killed a mid-level barbarian general, let alone a low-level barbarian general. After Yang Wu killed the low-level barbarian general, he didn't look pleased at all. He had already sensed that more powerful barbarian generals were coming. How dare you kill my brother? You're a lowly citizen of Great Xia. You're dead. One of the two barbarian generals shouted angrily. Yang Wu faced the barbarian general with a high fighting spirit and said, "Come and kill me if you can." The military camp had already set the mission for him to kill the barbarian generals. Originally, he only needed 100 barbarian generals to get rid of his status as a prison slave. Now, it was increased to 500 barbarian generals. If he was an ordinary soldier, he would have been promoted to a chiliarch. However, to Yang Wu, it was only enough to atone for his crimes. It would be a lie if he didn't have any resentment in his heart. However, he had already decided to walk the path of the War King of Death. He had no other choice. The barbarian general didn't dare to underestimate his opponent. He pulled out the spear on his back and furiously stabbed it at Yang Wu. The spear was extremely fast and contained a sharp spiral barbarian force. Its destructive power reached 40 to 50 feet. It was extremely powerful. "Today, I'll use you to practice." After Yang Wu exclaimed in his heart, he kicked out with one leg. A powerful whip leg fiercely lashed out, and an arc-shaped force rushed towards the barbarian general's spear. Scimitar kick. This was a general skill that Yang Wu had obtained from AI Fei Li. The power it could unleash was extraordinary. Unfortunately, he had just reached the nuanced stage and couldn't unleash its full power. He was pierced by the barbarian general's spear and almost stabbed into his leg. Fortunately, he retreated quickly enough. Yang Wu was not discouraged because of this. After his leg landed on the ground, he flipped his body and kicked out with his other leg. In an instant, he kicked out 6 times. The impenetrable kicks forced the brute general to stop and enter his strongest defense. The barbarian tribe's innate defense was astonishing. The light yellow 2-layered profound armor blocked Yang Wu's strength. Yang Wu's strength was strong enough to kick him back repeatedly. The barbarian general was unwilling to be defeated. He quickly spun the battle spear in his hand and smashed it straight at Yang Wu's head. The astonishing strength was sharp and domineering, enough to split a mountain. Yang Wu narrowly dodged to the side. A few strands of his hair were cut, and a shallow cut appeared on his cheek. The clear pain made him clearly feel the strength of this brute general. He continued to use his scimitar kick to launch a chain of kicks, each kick faster than the last. The scimitar kick focused on speed. The faster it was, the more it could bring out its essence. Once the speed reached a certain limit, the strength of each kick could be superimposed, and the power would increase explosively. The brute general's strength was overbearing. He forcibly blocked Yang Wu's attack. The battle spear was like a heavenly pillar that attacked again and again. Yang Wu's cicada clothes were torn, and a few bloody holes appeared on his body. However, the brute general also took many kicks from Yang Wu. It could be said that they were evenly matched. On the other side, Li Dazue had already dug out the heart of the brute general who had just rushed over and swallowed it on the spot. This made the brute general, who came later, furious. He raised his battle spear and tried to kill Li Dazue. As for Shou-ho, his eyes were shining. He directly looked at the dozens of riders who were rushing over from several miles away. His heart trembled with fear. Without thinking, he exclaimed, "Boss, big brother, there are dozens of riders rushing over from the front." Unfortunately, Li Dazue and Yang Wu did not seem to hear him. They were still fighting fiercely. Shou-ho gritted his teeth and pulled out his broken staff. He actually ran toward the dozens of riders in front of him, wanting to stop them with his strength alone. However, before he could take a few steps, Little Hay suddenly jumped over and bit on his trousers, stopping him from trying to break a rock with an egg. "Little Hay, do you not want me to go over? Don't worry, I have my broken staff. I can stop them for a while." Shou-ho lowered his head and looked at Little Hay as he spoke confidently. Little Hay ignored Shou-ho and continued to bite on his trousers without letting go. Her small body looked so determined and frail. Shou-ho was quite touched. He muttered, as expected of Big Brother's spirit pet, "You are affectionate and loyal." Shou-ho squatted down and gently stroked Little Hay, making her loosen her trousers. Then, he ran toward the dozens of riders, looking as if he was not afraid of death. Woof woof! Little Hay did not chase after him again. Instead, a complicated look appeared in its eyes. Then, it turned around and ran back toward Yang Wu. Little Hay usually did not participate in Yang Wu's battles. However, when it was needed, Little Hay would take the initiative to attack without any instructions from Yang Wu. As the battle progressed, Yang Wu's fighting spirit grew stronger and stronger. He still did not use his combat weapon. Instead, he used the one-inch punch when he got close to the barbarian general. One-inch punch was only a warrior-level fist technique. However, its specialty was that when it was used in close combat, the fist would explode with a stacked one-inch punch. It could destroy the opponent's defense and directly injure them. At present, Yang Wu had already avoided the barbarian general's consecutive thrusts. When he got close to the barbarian general, he threw the one-inch punch. His forearm instantly swung, and the fist radiance hit the barbarian general's vital point. The one-inch punch directly entered the Xian armor and crashed into the barbarian general's body, wreaking havoc on his body. The barbarian general abandoned his spear and used his empty palm to hit Yang Wu's head. The overbearing palm wind tore through the air and approached Yang Wu directly. Yang Wu reacted quickly. He threw a punch upward, and the other punch hit the same spot again. The one-inch punch, condensed from Xian Qi, became more and more ferocious. Yang Wu took advantage of the barbarian general's slow reaction speed and threw 8 punches in a row. 8 one-inch punches rushed to the same spot one after another and punched a bloody hole in the barbarian general's body. Yang Wu was heavily hit on the shoulder by the barbarian general. His body tilted and his shoulder exploded with blood. His entire arm was numb. You really have a lot of little tricks. In the face of absolute strength, you can't even withstand a single blow. The barbarian general didn't care about the injuries on his body at all. After he roared, he drew out all his strength. The battle spear emitted an extremely bright light, and then he made an extremely fierce attack on Yang Wu. Earth Dragon Drilling. The barbarian general's thrust caused the ground to explode repeatedly. It was as if an earth dragon was crashing on the ground. The powerful force caused the earth to shake. Yang Wu realized that the intermediate barbarian general had used all his strength and didn't dare to hold back. He pulled out the trident on his back and fiercely stabbed it into the ground, forcibly stopping the earth dragon's rampage. He was also shaken by the barbarian general's brute force and kept retreating. At this moment, he realized where the advantage of the barbarian race's strength lay. The barbarian race's brute force dominated the world. This was a fact recognized by many races. Even if the barbarian race in front of him didn't have the bloodline power of atavism, they could still exert a strong brute force. The barbarian general's attacks became more and more frenzied. He was really going berserk. He must kill this great Xia. Yang Wu held the trident and displayed the art of the storm spear. The feeling of being one with the trident appeared once again. The power of the art of the storm spear was displayed to perfection, blocking all of the brute general's power. At the same time, he stabbed the brute general twice. This seemingly broken trident was quite powerful. The brute general's defense was like a piece of paper that was pierced through. What kind of combat weapon is this? The barbarian general's expression changed, and he kept retreating. Yang Wu became braver as he fought. He realized that the trident was really a combat weapon that matched him. The power flowing in his body was very smooth. When it reached the trident, his strength increased explosively. At this time, Li Dazue tore another barbarian general apart. The barbarian general who was fighting with Yang Wu was frightened and didn't dare to fight. He fought and retreated, wanting to drag the battle until the army arrived. Yang Wu sensed the barbarian general's intention to retreat and finally stopped holding back. He shouted, "Barbarian general, don't even think about escaping." At this moment, Yang Wu's supreme 9 mysteries formula and dragon turtle water suppression stance worked together. The absorbed power merged with the power in his body. The 12 principal meridians, the Ren and Du meridians, and the 165 acupoints all drew power from the Dantian at the same time. It was as if a vortex of power was exploding in his body, and all of it gathered on the trident. The trident was like a rainbow after the rain. "Great Xia's remnant citizen, don't be violent," a barbarian general cried out in alarm from afar. He rushed to the rescue at an extremely fast speed. The barbarian general came quickly, but Li Dazue was also quick to block him. He licked his lips and muttered, "There's too much meat today. I'm afraid I'll eat until I'm full." The barbarian general who rushed over was blocked by Li Dazue. The barbarian general who was chasing after Yang Wu didn't have any help. He was also attacking at full speed, determined to block Yang Wu's attack. However, when he came into contact with Yang Wu's power, he discovered that Yang Wu's power was much greater than before. His spear was broken in one move, and the trident still mercilessly smashed onto his head. Bang! In an instant, the barbarian general's head exploded. Blood and brain matter splattered all over the ground. Until his death, the intermediate barbarian general couldn't understand how a soldier-level soldier of Great Xia could erupt with such valiant power. His spear was a general weapon, but it couldn't even withstand a single blow. What kind of weapon was that lousy weapon? In fact, it wasn't only the intermediate barbarian general who was astonished. Even Yang Wu didn't expect the trident in his hand to be able to break the enemy's weapon. When he landed, he stared blankly at the trident and muttered, "Don't tell me this trident is a high-level general weapon. Little Hei's foresight is really good." Woof woof. Little Hei's barks rang out. She quickly landed on Yang Wu's shoulder and looked straight ahead with a vigilant look. Yang Wu came back to his senses and looked at the dozens of cavalrymen who were approaching, as well as the skinny monkey who was captured by them. His face became gloomy. When he glanced at one of the cavalrymen, he couldn't help but exclaim, "Little man, why are you here?" "No, you're not, little man. Let's go." At this moment, after Li Dazue got rid of his opponent, he quickly retreated. Regardless of whether Yang Wu was willing or not, he grabbed his hand and dragged him away from this place. Chapter 87. Li Dazue looked stupid, but he wasn't. He just acted like a fool sometimes, and his mentality was a little abnormal. When he encountered danger, he would run away faster than anyone else. Yang Wu's combat strength was comparable to the general realm, but compared to Li Dazue, who had already reached the warlord realm, he was still a lot weaker. Li Dazue made a prompt decision to take Yang Wu away because he didn't want Yang Wu to die here. He had already felt the strength of this group of people. "Capture them alive." Huang Fu Taiging stared at Yang Wu and shouted, "Yes." The barbarian general behind him responded. Immediately after, a top-notch barbarian general led 6 people and quickly chased after them. They didn't ride on giant tusked elephants. The elephant wasn't fast enough and would delay them from capturing people. One of them is in the general realm, and the other is in the warrior realm. If you can't take them down, you don't have to come back. Shi Shafeng said coldly. As a king, Shi Shafeng had the demeanor of a king. He wouldn't go so far as to personally deal with two low-level martial artists. That would damage his dignity. It's Grandpa. Why do we have to capture them alive? Can't we just kill them? Huang Fu Mingyu said with a stern look. Apart from his brat in front of us, that brat just now should be related to your sister. Huang Fu Taiging said as he touched the elephant bone plate in his hand. Then he added, the needle in the elephant bone plate is obviously moving slightly. The brat we capture now won't cause as strong a reaction as the brat just now. Do you want me to make a move? Sure, Sha Feng asked. Huang Fu Taiging waved his hand and said, as long as you make a move, the kings of Great Xia will also make a move, and a war will break out. Now is not the time. Send more people over, just in case. We must bring back Princess Mingzhu. Sure, Sha Feng nodded, then waved his hand and ordered a group of people to chase after Li Dazue and Yang Wu. At this moment, Yang Wu struggled and shouted, put me down, I want to save Skinny Monkey. Yang Wu had a lot of strength, but he couldn't get out of Li Dazue's hands. He was so angry that he punched Li Dazue in the face. However, Li Dazue still didn't let go. He mobilized all the strength in his body and ran at full speed. His body was like a surging river, and the acupuncture points all over his body emitted a resplendent light. He faintly had the rhythm of a breakthrough. Let go of me. Yang Wu looked at the indifferent Li Dazue and shouted again. Yang Wu punched him again. Li Dazue still didn't cry out in pain, nor did he let go. However, there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. Yang Wu felt guilty and calmed down. Unfortunately, the brute generals had already caught up. The strongest of the brute generals threw the spear in his hand. The spear was like a dragon, aiming to kill Li Dazue and Yang Wu. Li Dazue seemed to have eyes at the back of his head. He bounced to the side and dodged the spear. The spear crashed into the trees in front of him, causing them to collapse. The momentum was terrifying. You won't be able to escape. Stop, and you will have a chance to live. Otherwise, we will kill you when we catch up. The brute generals said ruthlessly. They sped up and were only 300 feet away from Li Dazue and company. Yang Wu realized that the situation was critical. He said to Li Dazue, put me down. You can escape first. At that moment, the two of them weren't escaping back to their own camp. Instead, they were escaping into the dense forest of the mountain range. There were countless trees, bushes, and hidden wild beasts and spirit demons. Such a place with many obstacles was more conducive for them to escape. Li Dazue hesitated for a moment. He exerted force in his hand and threw Yang Wu forward. He shouted, you can escape. I will stay behind to stop them. Yang Wu, who had been unable to control himself, was thrown by Li Dazue. He sped up and quickly distanced himself from the two of them. Yang Wu was very touched. This evil person who wanted to devour others wasn't truly evil. The moment Li Dazue let go of Yang Wu, he released his aura. A powerful sound rang out from his body. Papa! In an instant, Li Dazue's strength was raised to the peak. He launched his final attack towards the pinnacle of the general realm. The pinnacle brute general who had rushed over had already sensed Li Dazue's change. He sneered and shouted, you've chosen a good time to break through at this moment. The pinnacle brute general formed a seal with both hands and sent out a heavy palm strike at Li Dazue's head. The crystalline power was filled with destructive power. It squeezed the air so hard that it produced strange sounds. Li Dazue looked up and clenched his fist to punch at the pinnacle brute general's palm strike. The pinnacle brute general quickly threw out more than 10 punches. Every punch was merciless, not giving Li Dazue any chance to catch his breath. Li Dazue punched out with both his fists, blocking the pinnacle brute general's attacks. His body sank into the ground. At the same time, the other brute generals had already caught up. They saw that their companions had gained the upper hand. Only 2 of them stayed behind to hold the line. The others quickly chased after the brat in front of them. After being flung away by Li Dazue, Yang Wu didn't run away. Instead, he stood in place, clenched his fists, and muttered, why should I run away? Don't I want to embark on the path of becoming the king of death? What's there to run away from? If I can't find the fastest path to becoming a king, I might as well die here. Yang Wu couldn't just watch the skinny monkey die. Now that Li Dazue had risked his life for him to escape, how could he run away? At this moment, he had completely accepted life and death. Holding the trident, he ran out and took the initiative to meet the 4 brute generals who were rushing over. This time, the barbarian elephant army had sent dozens of riders. All of them were at the general realm. None of them were below the soldier realm. This level of strength was more than enough to kill Yang Wu. The Death Legion had issued this order to send Yang Wu and the others to their deaths. One of the brute generals held a broadsword and slashed 3 times in the blink of an eye, all aimed at Yang Wu's vital points. Another brute general held a battle axe and chopped at Yang Wu's waist. Another brute general held a heavy hammer and smashed it at Yang Wu's head. The last brute general held a mace and slammed it at Yang Wu's back. The 4 brute generals cooperated seamlessly, intending to severely injure and capture Yang Wu. Rainstorm Spear Technique. After Yang Wu threw caution to the wind, he no longer hid his strength. He held the trident and attacked the 4 brute generals. The spear shadows that filled the sky spun and blocked all the attacks from the 4 sides. However, this was not enough. He had to break through a corner and end the battle as soon as possible. Otherwise, he would die here. Little Hay understood tacitly. She shuttled through the many attacks and pounced on one of the brute generals. The brute general only felt his vision darken as his profound armor was torn by Little Hay's claws. His neck was bitten by Little Hay. His thick skin and flesh could not withstand Little Hay's sharp teeth. The brute general was in so much pain that he stopped his attack and screamed, "Little Hay, good job." After Yang Wu praised in his heart, he parried the attacks of the other 3 brute generals with his 3-pronged spear. Then, like a poisonous dragon, the 3-pronged spear pierced the lower abdomen of the brute general who had been bitten by Xiao He and sent him flying. Yang Wu was not having an easy time when he was distracted by killing the enemy. He was hit on the back by a brute general who was holding a mace. The cicada robe on his body burst open and many wolf fang marks opened on his back. Fresh blood quickly seeped out. Another brute general swung his battle axe at Yang Wu's shoulder. Fortunately, Yang Wu dodged quickly enough. If he had been half a beat slower, his shoulder would have been chopped off. Yang Wu held the trident spear and spun around, blocking many of the attacks. His figure retreated again and again, leaving footprints on the ground. After slowing down his movements, he counterattacked again. The torrential storm spear art was displayed to the perfect stage. Many water xianxi were like a violent storm that continuously blasted out. It was really impossible to guard against. The brute general who was holding the heavy hammer was the slowest. Yang Wu's spear pierced his thigh and blood instantly gushed out. However, the brute general did not cry out. He just frowned, and his heavy hammer fell heavily on Yang Wu's trident. He wanted to destroy Yang Wu's weapon first. However, Yang Wu's trident was very strange. It looked like it could not withstand a single blow, but after being hit by the heavy hammer, it did not show any signs of breaking. The 3 barbarian generals fought faster and faster, forcing Yang Wu to the point where he was unable to withstand their attacks. His body was continuously wounded. If it wasn't for the fact that his body had been tempered by the companion wolf blood crystal, he definitely wouldn't have been able to withstand such fierce attacks. The 3 barbarian generals weren't having a good time either. Yang Wu's attacks were sharp enough, and his perfect spear technique allowed him to fight with speed. If they were to fight against Yang Wu alone, they would have already been defeated. But now, Yang Wu's trident spear had more or less pierced through their profound armors and directly injured their bodies. This was his strength, and also the strength of the trident spear. After the opponent's weapon came into contact with the trident, it was damaged again and again. The trident was still sharp, which showed that its grade was higher than the other 3 weapons. When Yang Wu was unable to kill his way out of the encirclement, Little Hay once again appeared out of nowhere and directly bit the butt of the guy holding the heavy hammer. Yang Wu was growing stronger, and so was Little Hay. Its speed was several times faster than before, like a bolt of black lightning in the daytime. The brute generals could not react in time and were bitten on the butt. The pain caused his movements to become sluggish. It was also at this moment that Yang Wu's trident swept across his throat and directly cut his neck. He could not cover it no matter how hard he tried, and fell into a pool of blood. Ada. When the two brute generals saw that another of their companions had been killed, they involuntarily cried out in pain. Moreover, they also noticed the running little hay dog, and a murderous intent flashed across their eyes. Unfortunately, they did not have the time to pay attention to little hay. Yang Wu's attacks had already forced them into a corner. Just when Yang Wu felt that he could take down both of them at the same time, Li Dazue rushed over from behind and shouted, "Run! The enemy has reinforcements again." This time, Yang Wu did not need Li Dazue to pull him back. He fled with him for his life. "Shouho, I don't have the ability to save you this time. If I survive in the future, I will definitely avenge you." Yang Wu swore in his heart. He had bitten his lips so hard that they were bleeding. It was obvious how sad he was. He had already treated Shouho as a brother. Today, he saw his brother in trouble but could not save him. Anyone would feel suffocated and upset. Chapter 88. Yang Wu and Li Dazue desperately fled through the forest. They had exhausted all their strength. Yang Wu used the suction force of the dragon turtle water-suppressing stance to increase his speed. He was not much slower than Li Dazue. Since he had cultivated the scud leg, his feet were extremely agile. With a lot of strength, he ran like a leopard. Little Hay, who was on his shoulder, was as still as a mountain. It seemed that no matter how Yang Wu ran or jumped, it would be able to lie firmly on his body. Li Dazue had broken through to the top warlord realm in the battle just now. However, he was severely injured and had to pay a huge price to escape from the enemy. Many barbarian generals chased after them with all their strength, not giving them a chance to escape. Fortunately, this was the Wolf Smoke Mountain Range. There were many wild beasts and spirit demons here. When they barged in, they finally alarmed the wild beasts and spirit demons and jumped out to attack them. Originally, Yang Wu and the others were bound to be attacked. However, every time these wild beasts and spirit demons rushed out, Little Hay on Yang Wu's shoulder would cry out and emit a unique demonic aura. This caused the wild beasts and spirit demons to show some fear. They did not attack them immediately, buying them precious time. As for the barbarians, they were not so lucky. The alarmed wild beasts and spirit demons could only vent their anger on them. Because of this, Yang Wu and Li Dazue gained some breathing space. However, they did not dare to stop. Instead, they rested as they ran, afraid that they would be surrounded and captured alive. After escaping for half a day, it was finally night. This was more advantageous for the escaping party. Yang Wu finally endured and said to Li Dazue, "Boss, let's split up and escape. You run first. I'm a little hungry. I want to eat meat." Li Dazue glanced at Yang Wu and replied, "Boss, don't force yourself. I know you want to take care of me, but if you stay, you'll be killed by them." Yang Wu said sincerely, "I've eaten so much of their meat, so what's the harm in letting them eat it once?" Li Dazue replied in a carefree manner, "Boss, don't say such discouraging words. None of us will die. Let's split up and escape. As you can see, my strength is not as good as yours, but my ability to escape is not inferior to yours. After we split up, their forces will be scattered, and we will have a chance to escape." Yang Wu explained clearly. Li Dazue thought about it and said, "Okay, remember to treat me to barbecue when you come back. Don't worry, there will definitely be enough." Yang Wu said very seriously, "Okay." Li Dazue replied and finally parted ways with Yang Wu. Yang Wu watched as Li Dazue disappeared into the night. He sighed heavily and muttered to himself, "Not only will this scatter the barbarians' forces, but it will also give the boss a chance to escape. As for me, how can I just run back to the army like this?" Immediately after, he started running again. At the same time, he said to Little Hay, "Little Hay, I know that your abilities are not ordinary. Whether or not we can survive depends on you." "Woof, woof." Little Hay barked in response. At the same time, its eyes shone with a dark green light, taking in everything in the forest. When Yang Wu ran in the wrong direction, it would immediately bark and wave its front paws to make Yang Wu change direction. Although Yang Wu could not tell north from south, east from west, he still followed Little Hei's instructions. Not long after, he realized that something was wrong. He also felt that the soldiers behind them were getting closer and closer. This made him feel a little strange. Little Hei, you're not leading me back to the original path, are you? Little Hei ignored Yang Wu and continued to wave its front paws to make Yang Wu move in the direction it was pointing. Yang Wu shuttled through the dense forest. His clothes were torn in many places, making him look very haggard. After a while, he suddenly saw a pair of extremely shocked eyes staring at him. The eyes were the size of a fist and emitted a faint yellow light. In the night, it made people feel terrified. Yang Wu stopped and did not dare to take another step forward. He cursed in his heart. Little Hei is trying to get me killed. In front of him, he could sense that this wild beast or spirit demon was very powerful. Otherwise, how could it be so big? Sure enough, when the big guy moved forward, Yang Wu finally realized what kind of spirit demon it was. He hurriedly said, "Big guy, go back to sleep. I just happened to pass by your place. I'll leave now. After he finished speaking, he turned and fled. He hated that he was born with 2 legs. He cried in his heart, "Little Hei is trying to get me killed." At this moment, the 6 barbarians not far from Yang Wu had already caught up. One of the barbarians, who was extremely good at tracking, was running at the front. He pointed in front and said, "The great Xia Pariah is just ahead. Let's go faster." The 6 silhouettes ran like the wind. Many branches were broken by them. Nothing could obstruct them. When they approached, they suddenly discovered that Yang Wu had actually turned back and rushed towards them. This caused them to be astonished, but at the same time, they revealed complacent expressions. They thought that Yang Wu had walked right into their trap. This person's combat power is not ordinary. "Bring me to capture him," a top barbarian general exclaimed. Just as the top barbarian general was about to make his move, a terrifying roar suddenly sounded from behind Yang Wu. Roar! Fearful cries rang out in all directions, causing the sleeping beasts and some weaker spirit demons to tremble. They retreated into their own caves, not daring to come out. Even the owls perched on the trees were so frightened that they flew away from the trees. This was not the wrath of a king, but in this area, it was a true king. It was a top demon general, the black steel bear. Its black fur stood up like needles. Its 4 limbs were well developed, and its body was almost 10 feet tall. Its eyes were fierce, and its fangs were bloodthirsty. It chased after Yang Wu with heavy footsteps. It was obvious that this big guy was completely enraged and wanted to kill someone to vent his anger. At this moment, the barbarian generals finally knew why the other party was running towards them. It was a good plan to divert the trouble away. "Do you think a mere wild bear can stop us? Naive." The top barbarian general sneered and continued to charge. Yang Wu quickly made a 90-degree turn and fled to the side. He did not want to meet the other party head-on. Seeing that Yang Wu was running again, the top barbarian general shouted again, "Shoot the arrows." Behind him, a barbarian general took the snake bow and instantly pulled it to a full moon. An arrow shot out like a meteor chasing after the moon, shooting towards Yang Wu, who was running away. Yang Wu's divine court was very sensitive. When he sensed the strange sound, he rolled to the ground. The arrow narrowly brushed past his body, causing him to break out in a cold sweat. Several barbarian generals were already chasing after him, like wolves and tigers. However, the black steel bear was completely enraged. It roared continuously and spat out rays of light towards the barbarian generals who did not take it seriously. The top barbarian general was also very powerful. He continuously threw out punches and blocked the black steel bear's power, creating space for the others to chase after Yang Wu. At this moment, Little Hei was no longer on Yang Wu's shoulder. When he encountered the black steel bear, Little Hei jumped down from his shoulder and hid in the darkness. No one knew what it was going to do. Yang Wu ran like a tiger and leopard. The chi in his body became more and more turbulent. He did not look exhausted at all. Some of his acupoints were even opened as he ran. It was really hard to imagine. The barbarian general with the bow shot 3 arrows in a row. The 3 arrows nailed into the trees beside Yang Wu and directly pierced through them. If the arrows hit Yang Wu's body, he would probably explode. After Yang Wu's speed was hindered, a high-level barbarian general arrived. This person lifted a huge rock and threw it at Yang Wu. The rolling rocks fell like meteorites from outer space, and the destructive power was astonishing. Yang Wu immediately stopped and did not dare to take another step forward. The rock fell 1 step in front of him, and a deep pit was formed on the ground. Dust flew up in an instant, and the stone fragments splashed on his body. The moment he stopped, another arrow was shot. It was already difficult for him to dodge, so he could only sweep his trident spear back and deflect the arrow. This time he completely stopped. In an instant, the power of the 5 barbarian generals bombarded him from all directions. The 5 of them knew that if they wanted to take down Yang Wu, they could not give Yang Wu any chance to catch his breath. They had to take him down in one go. When there was no way to retreat, Yang Wu completely threw caution to the wind. He shouted, "Let's kill to our heart's content tonight." When his killing intent was aroused, the blood in his body boiled. The trident spear burst out a powerful light and swept towards these attacks. Boom, boom, boom. Yang Wu was fighting against 5 barbarian generals. Even if his power was amazing, he was still forced to retreat. However, he was not afraid at all. He attacked back and forth with the rainstorm spear art again and again. His chi splashed as he defended and blocked to prevent himself from being injured. The 5 barbarian generals cooperated seamlessly, and their power kept increasing. Different weapons greeted Yang Wu back and forth, forcing Yang Wu to defend himself. Soon, Yang Wu was injured in many places and was in a disadvantageous state. If this continued, he would definitely lose. However, after the trident spear in his hand was stained with his blood, the cracks on it kept showing an inexplicable brilliance, making it even more powerful. In his divine courtyard, the will of death began to beat, making him feel the true power of death. Puff, puff. Yang Wu was hit by several attacks. He spat out blood and had wounds all over his body. He could not hold on for much longer. Everyone, slow down. Sir has ordered us to capture this boy alive. We can't kill him, a barbarian general said. The 5 barbarian generals slowed down their attacks at the same time, giving Yang Wu a chance to catch his breath. At this moment, Yang Wu's body emitted a murderous intent. The power of the trident spear in his hands increased greatly. A power of the will of death erupted from the trident spear. He shouted, "Kill!" In an instant, the power that erupted doubled. A barbarian general in front of him could not retreat in time and was split in half on the spot. Blood splattered everywhere. It was a ghastly sight. The remaining 4 barbarian generals were shocked. They attacked with all their strength again, but it was too late. Yang Wu had completely gone berserk. Chapter 89. The Way of Death was one of the top martial arts among the 3,000 great ways. It was also one of the most difficult martial arts to comprehend. If one had not seen death before, it would be very difficult to comprehend the feeling of being on the verge of death. Yang Wu had obtained the Will of Death from the battle skill tablet left behind by the Battle King of Death. It was only a hazy will and was far from the true way of death. However, it was this tiny bit of will that allowed Yang Wu, who was facing the threat of death, to trigger the Will of Death, allowing him to enter a mysterious state. The moves he used were filled with the Will of Death, causing his strength to increase explosively. Every martial art had its own unique aspects. The Way of Death naturally allowed one to enter a state of death. It was a kind of aura that imperceptibly affected one's perception of the divine court. After Yang Wu triggered the Will of Death, his opponents within a few dozen feet of him were placed in an inexplicable will of death. They would feel fear in their hearts and feel that they were on the verge of death. Their minds would completely collapse, and they would be killed by him in a single move. After Yang Wu furiously beheaded a person, the will of death emitted from his body shook the bodies and minds of the brute generals. Their minds and wills were affected, and the feeling of death made them feel fear. It was as if they had stepped into the gates of hell. The waves of cold qi attached to their bodies made them want to flee at the mere sight of it. Unless one had an extremely strong will, it would be difficult to maintain one's original state of mind under the influence of this will of death. At this moment, Yang Wu repeatedly waved his trident spear. The trident spear's shaft contained boundless, profound qi. It swept across the four of them like lightning and wind. One of the brute generals was sent flying by the waist, while another had one of his arms broken. The other two brute generals were slightly stronger. When faced with the threat of death, they reacted the fastest. However, they were only lightly injured by Yang Wu's trident spear. There's something strange about this brat. Don't hold back anymore. The lightly injured barbarian general regained his senses and shouted angrily. Following that, the brute general used his trump card. His brute force surged, and a powerful force condensed on his combat weapon. The combat weapon seemed to have turned into a fire dragon that charged at Yang Wu, wanting to tear him apart. Yang Wu stared at the attack and thrust his trident spear forward. Under the influence of the will of death, the power he erupted with was more than twice as strong as before. It pierced through the fire dragon's head, and the remaining power pierced through the brute general's profound armor and chest. The barbarian general found it hard to believe that, even with his full strength, he still couldn't block the other party's attack. He was truly unwilling to die. When Yang Wu killed the brute general, he also paid the price. The other lightly injured brute general slashed his sickle, leaving a long, bloody gash on Yang Wu's back. Even his spine was exposed. Not only did this injury not cause him to be injured and unable to move, but also aroused his ferocity. The will of death was fully activated. He turned around and thrust his spear. Dense spear shadows enveloped the brute general, who was once again affected, piercing him into a beehive. The other two brute generals were so frightened that they didn't know what to do. They couldn't help but retreat. However, Yang Wu didn't plan to let them go. He roared, "Kill!" Yang Wu wielded his trident like the god of death. He repeatedly blasted out spear shadows. His xianqi reached a distance of 30 meters, breaking the ground and smashing the surrounding trees. The two brute generals, who were known for their defense and brute force, were beaten into a pool of blood. After Yang Wu killed the 5 brute generals, he stabbed his trident heavily into the ground. His body leaned on the trident and seemed to be on the verge of collapsing. He had consumed a lot of energy, and his back was severely injured. Being able to kill these brute generals proved that he was sufficiently valiant. Just as Yang Wu was about to sit down and rest, the top-notch brute general who was fighting with the black steel bear rushed towards him and exclaimed, "Great Xia's lowly commoner, you actually killed 5 of my brothers. You're dead meat." This top-notch brute general was seriously injured. His body was covered in blood. He didn't see the black steel bear chasing after him. Either it was killed by him, or the black steel bear didn't dare to chase after him. Either way, it proved that this top-notch brute general was valiant. "Oh no!" Yang Wu cried bitterly in his heart. Now, he was in a bad situation. Although he was recovering quickly, it was difficult for him to recover quickly. How could he resist the hunt of this top-notch brute general? The top-notch brute general held a broken weapon in his hand and attacked Yang Wu. A powerful brute force rushed over in the blink of an eye. Yang Wu didn't even have the chance to defend himself. His body was sent flying while vomiting blood. The top-notch brute general followed him like a shadow and rushed to where Yang Wu was lying on the ground. He directly stepped on Yang Wu's chest, causing Yang Wu to spit out a mouthful of blood. "If it weren't for the higher-ups wanting to capture you alive, I would have killed you right now," the top-notch brute general shouted angrily as he stared at Yang Wu. Yang Wu didn't reply. The supreme 9 mysteries formula in his body was operating to the extreme. While absorbing the energy, he was also using the remaining energy to heal his injuries. He anxiously thought, "I'm done for." The top-notch brute general was still angry after stepping on Yang Wu's chest. He ruthlessly stepped on Yang Wu again, shattering his sternum and rupturing his internal organs. Yang Wu was on the verge of death. The top-notch brute general was relieved. He sat cross-legged on the ground and muttered, "Fortunately, this brat has used up all his energy. Otherwise, with my current condition, it would be troublesome to take him down. It's all that damn black steel bear's fault for injuring me so badly." The top-notch brute general was also an arrow at the end of its flight. He was fighting Yang Wu with his last breath, so his condition was only slightly better than Yang Wu's. There was a terrifying bear paw print on his back, causing his body to almost fall apart. The top-notch brute general took out a healing elixir and swallowed it, healing his injuries on the spot. It was late at night, so he wasn't sure if he could find his own team. Everything would have to wait until dawn. He didn't take Yang Wu seriously anymore. He felt that it was already quite amazing for him to be able to survive such injuries. It was impossible for him to pose a threat to him. Unfortunately, he had miscalculated this time. Yang Wu was just lying down, but his recovery speed was much faster than the top-notch brute general's, even if the top-notch brute general had swallowed a healing elixir. The remaining energy in Yang Wu's peach core dantian was floating bit by bit. It was the first embryo mysterious energy, the energy of the first life that a newborn baby possessed. With the support of the peach core dantian's magical energy, the combined energy could heal even faster. The first embryo mysterious energy was transported to the injured internal organs through the 12 standard meridians and the conception and governing vessels. The internal organs were slowly regaining their vitality and recovering their circulation. The broken bones were also being connected. The speed of recovery was really incomparable. Yang Wu's consciousness recovered bit by bit. He didn't dare to move, but he could sense that the top-notch brute general was recuperating beside him. He thought to himself, "I must recover before him." This was a chance to save himself, and he didn't want to miss it. He didn't dare to bet his life on the missing little hay. Yang Wu's Xian formula circulated faster and faster. The surrounding strands of Xian qi seeped into his flesh, fell into his meridians, and gathered in his peach core dantian. His condition continued to improve. Half an hour later, Yang Wu's injuries were half healed. 2 hours later, 70% of his injuries were healed and 30% of his strength was restored. At this time, the top-notch brute general had entered the most serious state of recuperation. The injuries on his back had also been suppressed, but it would take at least 10 days to half a month for him to fully recover. The strength of the black steel bear's paw was no joke. At this time, Yang Wu's eyes moved slightly. He narrowed them into slits as he looked at the motionless top-notch brute general. He was thinking about how to counterattack. He couldn't wait until he recovered to 100% before making his move. That way, his opponent would definitely notice and be on guard. It was also at this moment that a small black shadow suddenly shot down from a tree. Its target was the top-notch brute general. The top-notch brute general was concentrating on recuperating, but it didn't mean that he had let down his guard. On the contrary, he left some of his consciousness to observe the surroundings. After all, they were in the mountain range. Wild beasts and spirit demons could appear at any time. He had to be on guard. As expected, when he sensed the abnormality, he didn't open his eyes. He waved his hand and struck in the direction of Little Hay's attack. Just as the palm was about to hit Little Hay suddenly changed its direction and narrowly dodged the top-notch brute general's attack. However, it didn't stop there. After landing, it attacked the top-notch brute general from another direction. Naturally, the top-notch brute general wouldn't just sit there and wait for death. He opened his eyes and put on his profound armor. He struck his palm horizontally at Little Hay. This time, Xiao He was unable to dodge. It barked as it was hit by the top-notch barbarian general and crashed into the distance. The top-notch brute general frowned and muttered, "A dog appearing in the middle of the night? How strange." The top-notch brute general didn't know that Little Hay was Yang Wu's spirit pet. He only thought that it was a wild beast or spirit demon that appeared in the mountain range. Suddenly, Yang Wu, who had been lying on the ground all this time, shot up like a bow. The power in his dantian surged like a river, and all of it landed on his arms. He threw a punch and a palm at the top-notch brute general who had his back facing him. Yang Wu had been preparing for this attack for a long time. He didn't dare to act rashly because he was afraid that the top-notch brute general would be on guard. Now that the top-notch brute general's attention was attracted by little Hay, his originally tense nerves relaxed. This was his last chance to strike. Dragon, turtle, sea-turning technique. This had always been Yang Wu's trump card. Even if he had only scratched the surface of this technique, it was enough for him to use to kill his enemies. The top-notch brute general's reaction was very fast. Unfortunately, his injuries slowed him down and he couldn't dodge in time. Yang Wu hit the wound on his back heavily, and he was sent flying into the trees in the forest like a cannonball. Bang, bang. Several trees were broken, and the top-notch brute general was seriously injured. Yang Wu, on the other hand, took the opportunity to pick up the trident spear and threw it at the location of the top-level brute general, nailing him to a giant tree. Chapter 90. In the pitch-black night, one couldn't even see their own fingers in the forest. Wild birds and the cries of spirit demons could be heard from time to time, adding to the atmosphere of fear. In this forest, a young man was collecting the belongings of the dead in front of few corpses. These brute generals are so poor. Apart from some healing pills, they don't have any silver or battle skills. Yang Wu said as he kicked the corpses on the ground in dissatisfaction. After Yang Wu risked his life to kill the top brute generals, he found that little Hay had returned safe and sound. Thus, he was relieved and wanted to take some money from the dead. Unfortunately, he was a little disappointed. At first, he thought these few barbarians had the overall strength of General Realm, and they must be wealthy. But it was not the case at all. He only found some pills from these barbarian generals and didn't find any silver tails or combat skills. In the end, Yang Wu walked towards the top brute general and finally found something special on his body. It was a mysterious spirit stone. It's a mysterious spirit stone. I finally got something good, Yang Wu said with great joy. The Xian spirit stone was a kind of energy crystal. It was divided into 3 grades: low, middle, and high. The value of each grade was different. What Yang Wu had in his hands were actually several pieces of low-grade Xian spirit stone. This could be distinguished from the gloss of the stone. The more spots and thicker the stone, the lower the grade. The Xian spirit stones in front of him were such. Each piece of low-grade mystic spirit stone was worth 1,000 gold. Others might not be able to exchange for a piece of low-grade mystic spirit stone with 1,000 gold. This was an essential item for martial artist cultivation. It could be absorbed by the mystic spirit stone to increase one's strength. This was not the first time Yang Wu had seen a mysterious spirit stone. In the past, the Yang family also had one. His father had shown it to him. Moreover, when he begged Wang Jiucheng, he also destroyed a high-grade mysterious spirit stone. After Yang Wu tied the Xian spirit stone to his waist, he once again plundered the top-notch brute warrior. He obtained a bag of silver fragments and a token from him. I can't waste these good heads. Yang Wu looked at the 6 corpses and said before cutting off their heads. He wanted to bring them back to the barracks to register his contributions. However, after he wrapped up the heads, he felt extremely uncomfortable carrying them on his back. He thought, how nice would it be if I could store things like little Hay. That's right, little Hay, come here for a moment. Yang Wu had a flash of inspiration as he called out to little Hay. Little Hay looked at the heads that Yang Wu's to wrap up too. She rolled the time. Little Hay to hell. Can you bear to see me run around with these heads on my back too? To see me carry these heads. Little Hay turned around and didn't look at Yang Wu at all. She only gave Yang Wu a proud back view. Yang Wu took out a low-grade mysterious spirit stone with great difficulty and said, Little Hay, if you help me, I'll give you this mysterious spirit stone. How about it? Little Hay still ignored him. Yang Wu took out another piece and said, Little Hay, don't be too greedy. This is the 2nd mysterious spirit stone. If you don't help, I'll really get angry. This time, little Hay turned around. Her eyes were still rolled up high, and her face was full of disdain. Yang Wu felt very hurt. He sighed softly and said, All right, at most 3 mysterious spirit stones. Otherwise, I'll carry them myself. Just as he finished speaking, Little Hay opened her mouth. In the blink of an eye, a pile of things appeared in front of him. Yang Wu was instantly dumbfounded. The pile of things in front of him were actually low-grade, mysterious spirit stones. There were at least a few hundred pieces. Other than that, there seemed to be a few stalks of old herbs that were equally valuable. Yang Wu was so shocked that he didn't know what to say. He touched the few pitiful low-grade, mysterious spirit stones at his waist. His heart was greatly wounded. He had risked his life to obtain a few low-grade, mysterious spirit stones and already felt that he had gained a lot. Although he didn't become rich, he was content with a small fortune. Now that he suddenly saw an even more shocking windfall in front of him, he really suffered a huge blow. What made him feel the most ashamed was that he wanted to use these 2 or 3 mysterious spirit stones to bribe the other party. He really overestimated himself. However, Yang Wu quickly returned to his senses and grabbed at the pile of low-grade, mysterious spirit stones. Who knew that Little Hay would keep all of them, causing him to fall into a trap? Little Hay, didn't we enjoy blessings and endure hardships together? Will your conscience hurt if you share some of the mysterious spirit stones with me? Yang Wu said emotionally. The little black and white eyes rolled up again and again, as if it was despising Yang Wu for being so shameless that he could even say such words. Little Hay, you're wrong. Otherwise, I won't let you lie on my shoulder and act cool. Little Hay, actually, you don't know. When I first saw you, I treated you as a brother. If I treated you as a brother, wouldn't I be a dog brother? I a pooey. Little Hay, why did you bite me? It hurts so much. Quickly let go. After a battle between man and dog, Yang Wu had a few more bite marks on his body. He was really pitiful. Yang Wu revealed an aggrieved expression. He silently packed up his spoils of war and those few heads, planning to leave this place first. He was afraid that other wild beasts and spirit demons would rush over after smelling the blood. He still understood this principle. Little Hay was still lying on Yang Wu's shoulder. Yang Wu really had no choice but to sigh softly. You're big, Black Lord. This lord can't play with you. Little Hay cried out proudly. Soon, Yang Wu arrived at another place. He thought that he could have a good rest, but Little Hay suddenly jumped down from his shoulder and rushed into the grass. Immediately after, he saw a python being lured out by Little Hay. Yang Wu was shocked. This python was 5 to 6 meters long and as thick as a thigh. Its mouth could easily swallow Little Hay whole. It wouldn't even be enough to fill the gaps between its teeth. However, Yang Wu realized that Little Hay was biting the python's weak spot. The python's body was constantly shrinking, trying to strangle Little Hay to death. When Yang Wu wanted to attack the python had already been bitten in half by Little Hay. Yang Wu finally saw how powerful Little Hay was. Good boy, if it had bitten my neck, it would have broken. Yang Wu sighed softly in his heart. After that, Little Hay spat out a flame and roasted the python. Then, it called out to Yang Wu a few times, indicating that Yang Wu wanted to eat the python's meat. Yang Wu did not stand on ceremony with Little Hay. He sat down and said, "Those who have Little Hay are not afraid of starving to death." Little Hay was quite happy with Yang Wu's flattery. It jumped up and down on the spot, its short tail wagging nonstop. Then it bit out a python's gallbladder and brought it to Yang Wu. Yang Wu took it and said, "Legend has it that a python's gallbladder has an aphrodisiac effect. I don't know if it's true or not, but let me have a taste." Then Yang Wu threw the python's gallbladder into his mouth and swallowed it down. Then he felt a piercing heat in his stomach. Without thinking, he circulated the Sovereign Nine Mysteries mantra and absorbed the python's gallbladder's energy. This python's gallbladder's energy was not weak. After the energy was separated, a small portion of it entered the peach stone dantian. A portion of it also directly replenished the kidneys, strengthening the kidneys. This was also commonly known as aphrodisiac. Yang Wu's injuries had not completely healed. After eating the python's gallbladder, he received a lot of energy and was in a much better state. He then swallowed the roasted python's meat and continued to replenish his energy. After he finished eating the python's meat, the python's gallbladder and the essence contained in the python's meat were squeezed into his body and seeped into every part of his body, strengthening his body. After Yang Wu felt that his body had recovered quite a bit, he took out a piece of low-grade Qian spirit stone and held in his hand as he muttered, "I might as well not return to the army. When the sun rises, there might be barbarian generals hunting me down. If I make a breakthrough, I can counterattack and kill them." Then, Yang Wu circulated his energy and meditated, quickly absorbing the low-grade Qian spirit stone in his palm. An ordinary warrior would need around 3 days to absorb a piece of low-grade Qian spirit stone. After all, the low-grade Qian spirit stone contained the essence of Qian Qi and was a rich energy. The warrior's rank was not high and had to absorb and digest it bit by bit. However, Yang Wu's Sovereign Nine Mysteries mantra was too heaven-defying. Its circulation speed was several times faster than ordinary Qian mantras. Furthermore, the storage space of the peach stone dantian was even larger. He only used an hour to refine the low-grade Qian spirit stone and turn it into powder. Yang Wu's dantian was filled with energy and recovered to its peak state. This showed the wonders of the Qian spirit stone. Yang Wu said unhappily, "Didn't they say that the Qian spirit stone can help people increase their strength? Why don't I feel anything?" Thus, he refined the second piece of low-grade Qian spirit stone. This time, he opened 13 acupoints and finally felt the increase in strength. The injuries on his body also completely recovered. "I might as well break through to the realm of top-notch warrior tonight." Yang Wu went all out and calmed his heart to refine the few pieces of low-grade Qian spirit stones on him. These low-grade Qian spirit stones contained some mottled energy and were far inferior to mid-grade or upper-grade Qian spirit stones. Ordinary warriors would definitely absorb these mottled energies when they absorb these energies. However, Yang Wu's peach stone dantian had the ability to filter and purify these energies. It purified them into Qian Qi essence and spread them throughout his body. His acupoints flickered like rainbows, and the energy they contained was incomparably majestic and powerful. These acupoints represented different positions and also represented that Yang Wu had unlocked all kinds of extraordinary talents in the human body. These talents were in the various acupoints. For example, the acupoints under the feet could increase speed, the acupoints on the palms could explode with more power, and the acupoints in the waist and abdomen could strengthen the body's functions. After Yang Wu finished refining the few pieces of low-grade Qian spirit stones in his hands, he had opened 197 acupoints. He was still 3 away from 200 acupoints, and he no longer had any low-grade Qian spirit stones in his hands. Just as he was feeling that it was a pity, Little Hay spat out a few pieces of low-grade Qian spirit stones at him. He revealed a bashful expression and said, "I knew you loved me." When Little Hay heard these words, she stuck out her tongue and vomited on the spot. Yang Wu directly ignored Little Hay's expression and silently changed the previous sentence in his heart. "Whoever obtains Little Hay will obtain the world." Chapter 91. It was dawn. The sun gradually climbed up the treetops, and a wisp of purple qi penetrated through the treetops. A young man was sitting cross-legged under a large tree. The clothes on his upper body were already in tatters, revealing his well-proportioned and sturdy body. His skin was as smooth as jade, like a newborn baby. Anyone who saw him could not help but caress him. After the young man absorbed the wisp of purple qi, a strange sound suddenly erupted from his body, like the roaring of a river. The turbulent momentum was unstoppable. 209 acupoints were completely connected, and the power contained in those acupoints seemed to have turned into liquid, sparkling and dazzling like dewdrops. His body was like a vast galaxy, spectacular and dazzling. The acupoints were like stars. This was the sign of stepping into the realm of top warriors. Yang Wu had refined a total of 20 low-grade Qian spirit stones and a wisp of purple qi to break through 200 acupoints and reach the realm of top warriors in one fell swoop. If an ordinary warrior had 5 low-grade Qian spirit stones, it would not be difficult for him to advance by 1 level. However, He needed 10 low-grade Xian spirit stones and that wisp of purple chi to break through to that level. It was enough to show how strong his foundation was. Originally, when Yang Wu had refined the low-grade Xian spirit stones he had obtained, he already had the opportunity to break through. But in the end, why did he still need so many Xian spirit stones to reach his current realm? The reason was that Yang Wu had broken through another of the 8 extraordinary meridians, the unblocking meridian. The unblocking meridian, from the top to the bottom, connected all the meridians in the body. It could regulate the chi and blood of the 12 standard meridians, and was also known as the blood sea. Once the unblocking meridian was opened, the divine court would gain the most. The chi and blood would be endlessly supplied from the bottom to the top, causing Yang Wu's divine court to expand by several times. Everything that happened within a radius of 5 kilometers couldn't escape Yang Wu's eyes and ears, and he could sense the slightest change clearly. Generally speaking, if one could open the governor and conception meridians in the general realm, one would have enough capital to break through to the king realm. There is at least a 20% to 30% chance of success. Most warriors only broke through the unblocking meridians after becoming a king. However, Yang Wu was just a small warrior, and he had already opened 3 major meridians. As long as he could continue to grow, becoming a king would be a piece of cake. The benefits of opening the 3 major meridians were extremely great, and Yang Wu quickly realized this. He realized that the Xian Qi in his body was circulating at an extremely fast speed. It was at least a few times faster than before, perhaps even a dozen times faster. This was not only because of the breakthrough in level, but also because of the opening of the 3 major meridians. The advantage of circulating Xian Qi faster was that one could attack faster, convert Xian Qi faster, and absorb the Xian Qi of heaven and earth faster. These changes could make a warrior stronger in battle. In addition, the warlike bloodline talent in his body was activated, and he could enter the state of high fighting intent at any time. He did not need to go through a round of killing to enter the state like before. This kind of fighting intent talent seemed to be innate to Yang Wu, but he did not know what was going on. These were not the things that surprised Yang Wu the most. What surprised him the most was that he could achieve the ability of inner vision, which only warriors in the general realm could do. The so-called inner vision was to be able to clearly see the internal organs, meridians, and bones in one's body through the senses of the divine court. Only in this way could one have a detailed understanding of one's body's condition and make better improvements in one's training. After looking at his normal and vigorous internal organs, Yang Wu's eyes fell on the peach pit in his dantian. He could not help exclaiming, "My broken dantian was replaced by the peach pit." Before he was sent to prison, Yang Wu's dantian had been destroyed. He had no hope of continuing to practice martial arts. But when he met Little Hay gave him the peach pit. At that time, he felt that it was extraordinary, so he put it away. Later, he did not know why it disappeared. Now he completely understood that the peach pit had replaced his dantian and become a part of his body. It helped him refine his body of martial arts and set foot on the path of martial arts again. I put the peach pit in my belt back then. How did it get into my stomach? Yang Wu was very confused. Then his divine court throbbed. Suddenly, he felt that Little Hay, who was not far away, was taking a nap. In fact, he felt that it seemed to be opening its eyes. Everything around him was within its senses. This made Yang Wu feel very astonished. He muttered to himself, "Why do I feel like Little Hay is opening its eyes? Could this be Little Hay's spiritual sense?" Just as Yang Wu was feeling confused, Little Hay, who was taking a nap, suddenly opened its eyes. A consciousness collided with Yang Wu's divine court consciousness. Yang Wu immediately received a message. "Kid, you've actually opened your divine spiritual aperture." When Yang Wu sensed this message, he jumped in fright. Why do I feel like Little Hay is talking to me? Is it an illusion? What illusion? This immortal emperor is talking to you." Little Hay's voice sounded again. This time, Little Hay wasn't actually speaking to Yang Wu. Instead, it was using its consciousness to collide with Yang Wu's, allowing Yang Wu to hear what it wanted to say. So it really wasn't an illusion. I can hear little Hei's words. Yang Wu said happily. He paused for a moment before adding, Little Hei, your words sound so childish. It seems like you haven't been weaned for long. How pitiful. Fortunately, you followed a good master like me. Woof woof kid, what nonsense are you spouting? This immortal emperor has lived for who knows how many millions of years. In this immortal emperor's eyes, you're the child who hasn't been weaned yet. If you dare to spout nonsense again, I'll make your butt bloom. Little Hei bared its teeth. Yang Wu clutched his butt and laughed. Haha, Little Hei is just joking with you. During this period of time, it's all thanks to you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to improve so quickly. Thank you. In Yang Wu's eyes, Little Hei was a savior. He didn't view it as an ordinary spirit pet. At least you know what's good for you. You didn't let me feed you the immortal peach core and teach you the regal 9 profound mantra for nothing. It's a pity that your cultivation talent is too low. If it was master, someone else would be many times more powerful than you, Little Hei said proudly. At this moment, it no longer looked like an ordinary little spirit dog. Instead, it looked more like a powerful living being that was looking down on Yang Wu. At this moment, Yang Wu finally realized that everything he had regained was given to him by Little Hei. It wasn't because of his heaven-defying luck. Yang Wu scratched his head in embarrassment. I just broke through to the top-notch warrior realm. Even if I encounter a general realm cultivator, I can take them down with a wave of my hand. Oh, you really think you're invincible? What a frog at the bottom of a well. Little Hei said disdainfully. Then Little Hei, tell me, who else can be as powerful as me? Yang Wu retorted. You're still not convinced? All of the super prodigies at the same cultivation level as you have already opened all 8 of their meridians, awakened their martial bodies, psychic abilities, and formed a golden lotus in the divine court realm. They can even take on a battle monarch with ease. Little Hei replied seriously. Is there really such a powerful existence? Yang Wu was instantly speechless. Of course, only those who have opened all 720 acupoints in their body can be considered a true martial body. Those who are born with a martial body have already opened their spiritual acupoints. They either have special pupils, are born with divine strength, or possess 2 souls. Their appearances are astonishing, and they have all sorts of unfathomable abilities. For example, your brother Shou-Ho has awakened the fiery golden eyes, which is one of the most powerful special pupils. Also, that girl Little Man has an innate barbarian body. Both of them are excellent martial bodies. Only you have mediocre talent. If you weren't the fated one to break this immortal emperor's seal, this immortal emperor wouldn't even care if you lived or died. Little Hei sat on the ground with its hind legs crossed. Its forelegs were folded like a human hand as it spoke in a very unique manner. So Shou-Ho and Little Man's talents are so outstanding. No wonder you were so close to Little Man. But why didn't you treat Shou-Ho better? If he could get your help, he might have already surpassed me. Yang Wu didn't feel disappointed or jealous when he heard that Shou-Ho and Little Man's physiques were stronger than his. Instead, he complained that Little Hei didn't treat Shou-Ho better. Little Hei said unhappily, if this immortal emperor had to treat someone with an outstanding martial body well, how could this immortal emperor live? But he's my brother, Yang Wu said worriedly. Now, he was very clear that Little Hei was very amazing. He didn't doubt it at all and hoped that it would be able to help Shou-Ho. Unfortunately, Shou-Ho had already been captured by the barbarian tribe. He was still very worried and didn't know if Shou-Ho had met with misfortune. After he activated his eyes of fire and gold, the talent he has is definitely not what you can imagine. Even without my guidance, he will be able to catch up to you very quickly and even surpass you, Little Hei said. After a pause, it said, you've already broken through to the next realm. Hurry up and find that big guy from last night to practice. Don't waste time and get stronger as soon as possible. The black steel bear isn't dead yet, Yang Wu said in surprise. He thought that the black steel bear had already been killed by that top-notch barbarian general. Little Hei said with a sly look in its eyes, its skin is thick and its flesh is thick. How could it die so easily? It's only a little injured and its battle strength has been halved. It's perfect for you to practice. Moreover, there are still some things in its den that I haven't had time to collect. You go and take it, and I'll go collect its belongings. Don't tell me that you got those Xian spirit stones from the Black Steel Bear's den? Yang Wu asked. Woof, woof, of course. Why else would I go there? That blockhead's battle strength isn't bad, and could be considered the leader of this area. It wouldn't be wrong for him to have some treasures. Little Hay proudly replied. Yang Wu revealed a fawning expression and said, Little Hay, if I take care of that Black Steel Bear, can you give me a few more Xian spirit stones or old medicines as a reward? There are no rewards. Little Hay decisively shook its head and said, Don't. Didn't you say that I'm the fated person for you to break the seal? With our relationship, a few Xian spirit stones and old medicines are nothing. Little Hay, you're incomparably handsome and have unparalleled divine skills. You're the one and only divine hound that is generous and generous. You can't be so stingy. These words are pleasing to the ears. I've decided to teach you the heaven and earth technique so that you don't have to make this immortal emperor collect those disgusting heads for you.